Ladies and gentlemen, Hebrews and Shebrews, welcome to the Life Podcast, where we inspire you to thrive as peculiar people in a modern world. And today we're doing that by talking to Rex, Tiborasaurus Rex. That's what he goes by on the internet. And he's famous for making Sniper 101 and doing a bunch of tests on all sorts of optical things for your guns, and he's really good at long-range shooting. So check out his channel over at Tiborasaurus Rex. And for this interview, we recorded it a little while ago, and then just recently, very recently, we did an update because he had some medical stuff happen. So I will let him talk to you about it. We're going to add that as an addendum onto the end of the episode. And it's going to tell you a way that you can help him out, help his family out, because he needs help right now. To more or less degree, he's going to find out soon. But if the man has helped you in any way, or if you get anything out of this episode or any of his other stuff, then please consider going to his GoFundMe and contributing to it. A man named Ryan Hamilton reached out to me recently and wanted to sponsor the podcast. And, you know, we've been getting more of these requests lately. Praise Yah. But usually I have to really vet them and everything. And so I thought, all right, well, let's see who this is. And he had this thing called the Social Scripture, an app. And I thought, all right, what is this? I download it. I'm reading it. Okay, it's a Bible study tool. You can read the Bible in different, versions. In Hebrew, you can read it in Greek. And then I noticed other things. You can make highlights. Okay. You can make notes for yourself on any of the chapters or verses. Okay, that's interesting. You can then share those notes with a group of your choosing, maybe your home church group. That's cool. And they can make notes on there too. Okay. Then the thing that really got my attention is that they have a public Bible. The public Bible is not just your own private notes. You can post an article that you wrote about a chapter or verse of the Bible right to that chapter or verse. If you want to argue that the Torah is still relevant to modern day life, you can find a verse that most people interpret to say that it's not, and you can make your case for it. You write your note, you slate it under academic. You can also slate your comment as just inspirational. Like, you will make a note on Psalm 22, and you're like, oh, this really affected me and changed my life. Or you can make an academic note on the public Bible, and people can then say, I think you're wrong. You can give your opinion, your study that you did at home when you're studying the Bible and you realize, oh goodness, I think I realized something that no one else knows, some new knowledge. Well, put it in the public Bible, and then you'll see if someone takes up the other side of the debate, and we'll see who wins. Then you can vote. Anyone on this thing can vote for who they think the winner is. So what's wonderful about this is you don't have to be Ben Shapiro to win this debate. You don't have to be awesome at candor. That's what happens with most of these YouTube video debates. They're great, but what if you're an introvert and you're right? You're going to lose against Ben Shapiro. But if you're an introvert and you're right, and you have all your receipts and you can show your receipts, then this is the way you can really hammer down to a fine truth, I believe. And so it's a great way to help you be a Berean. And then you can have the back and forth. You can give your presentation and have your conclusion statements, and then let the community decide who they think is right or wrong. And then on the other hand, you can write an article and post it. And even if there's not a debate, people can kind of vote whether they think it's bunk or true. So go check out thesocialscripture.com and get the app either for Android or for the iPhone, and jump in there, man. Put your new pet doctrine to the test. See if you're right. You might win some people over and they might learn something, or you might learn something. So without further ado, I give you Mr. Rex. Mr. Rex, welcome to the Life Podcast. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I am pretty sure a lot of people that watch this podcast will know you, but I'm wondering if anyone, for everyone who doesn't, could you give us a brief introduction to who you are?
I'm Rex Tibor. That's my stage name for the interwebs, right? Yeah, some guys might know me as the Tiborasaurus Rex, which never was supposed to be like a channel that more than 6 people were looking at. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in North Dakota. I married my wife when I was about 20, and we've been married 24 years now. She was in Western Montana, so I spent some years out there. And then we came back to North Dakota, and I started college a bit late, more later than most people, 8 years later. And I got a job in engineering after that for the state. I was a geologist, and I did a bunch of different kinds of lines of work over my life and stuff like that. But I ended up, through weird circumstances, being kind of taken out of the game professionally, physically. I had an illness. I had cancer a few years ago, and then other compounding issues with surgeries and stuff like that. So I did not have the stamina or the constitution anymore, really, to handle that kind of work that I used to do in the oil field. And so I ended up kind of shifting gears over to an online deal, which had kind of become a hobby. And I did precision rifle training for a number of years, like long range rifle training and marksmanship training. And from there, people were more interested. I realized that, like, because I started a Patreon channel called Tiborasaurus Rex, like Tibor, and then the dinosaur, right? Like named after the dinosaur. This dinosaur, she gave me the coffee cup. Look, it's a dinosaur.
Yes.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, if they really existed, which I don't know for sure. I heard there's a conspiracy on that. But anyways, we started the Patreon channel, and it was originally kind of like based on precision shooting kind of stuff. But people wanted the lesson that I would always give at the end of all those classes, because to me, precision shooting is cool because it teaches you that reality is reality no matter how I felt like it should happen. All the stuff needs to be perfectly in alignment or it's not going to hit a target. So it's a physics lesson about reality, that laws govern the universe. I don't get to change the laws. If the wind happens, I got to pay attention to the wind. It's all on me to do all that stuff correctly. And so that lesson at the very end of the class, I'd always give a little bit of a speech. That the point of this is not that, because you know what kind of guys would come to those classes, right? I don't know if you see that. I just pulled this out of the drawer here. This is not actually going to help you. However, if you can master the discipline that it would take to do well with that discipline can be applied in all other areas of your life to see what the instructions of the laws of the universe are operatively in terms of human behavior. And if you know where to go for the instructions, you can hit your long range life targets to not actually die for real, not permanently. And so that became the lesson that most guys kind of orbited. And so I did a few quizzes, or what do you want to call them, polls, on the channel after about a year or two on there, trying to kind of do what I perceive to be, because this is my job now, right? So I'm like getting all these students in, like, and all this kind of stuff. And we're doing different kinds of classes, in-person training classes. I had a couple different companies for that. But most of them wanted to hear that part, which actually is way more important to me than the other part. The other part was a fishing lure. Not to spill the beans, but like, I mean, precision rifle shooting is like kind of fun, but it's not that big of a deal to me. It's a fishing lure. It is something shiny that God gave me that I can do. And like, that is, we're supposed to be fishers of men. And so I was just trying to help those types of guys that would look to those things for survival, because guys who have good nature, they want to protect their household, they want to protect their country. They gather around stuff like that, right? And I have a heart for that because I'm one of them at one time. And I thought, maybe they should hear the actual real solution, because that deal is not actually the complete picture. It's a tiny part of it. Every man should know how to do that stuff. That's fine. That is not the actual real answer. It's not by the strength of our hand or by the sword that we're going to survive. That's not how nations rise and fall either. That's not the solution to fix America either. And so my speech at the end of every class was, you don't fix America by that. The reason the founding fathers were successful is because they feared God and they seriously respected him enough to base the entire laws system we were given originally on his law. And even though it's not a perfect example of it, that goes a long ways, because look at our momentum. Look at how screwed up we've gotten. And we're still super blessed. Right? So
Yeah.
that the message that they kind of wanted to hear more of. And so I did some polls and I found out 90+% of all the guys, even the guys that signed up for the rifle class, the reason they're there was for that. So I kind of switched gears a bit and I just talk about that. Okay. So we visit about the book. We visit about his ways and how that is a better way than our old ways. We're all under the impression as men that in order to protect the household, you got to be like tough guy or Rambo or some kind of deal like that. No, you need the provision of God. Yeah, specifically the God of the scriptures, the one who created the heavens and the earth. And by proximity to him, by being close to him, look at the case study examples in this book, right? And so we do what I guess some people would call survival training kind of deal, but it's not the way people would expect when they walk in. We talk about how to operate in a way that is constructive with your brothers and sisters in human networks, where you can actually take care of each other, and all the other principles that apply to survive in life. Be separated from the world, man. That word, for holy in the Bible means to be separated from that stuff. It never commanded us to fight Babylon. It commanded us to be separated from her. Come out of her, my people. That means separate from all the malfunction. And by finding peace in your little corner of the world, whether you live in New York City or on a farm, I'm lucky enough to live on a pretty rural area. There's no more conflict out here, man. I don't need to worry about all the stuff that everyone worries about. That's the blessing in obedience. They're all practical lessons given by our Father in heaven so that we can live. And so that's the center of what I do now. Is we have a community of dudes over there, and most of them are on Patreon. I do a small amount of stuff on YouTube. Most of that is continuing at the vein of, I have other jobs too. So I do reviews for specifically precision rifle optics. I have a little bit of knowledge on how to actually do that and quantify those results. So I still do those, and I review like long range rifle equipment, scopes, night vision, whatever. But like, so that's a decent part of my income, but my heart, 99% of my energy has been towards this new deal. And what a blessing it has been for me to spend a huge majority of my time in the Word with brothers who are all trying to help each other to do better. And so I feel very humbled that I get to be able to help. And in not every way I can be helpful. I don't know everything. I'm just like you or anybody else. But where I can, I will. I've stumbled over a lot of things on this path, and if I can help someone not to stumble over those same things, I will do my very best to try to articulate that to them. And God gave me a few different things I can teach or whatever, a little bit, so I can articulate those as best I can for the crowd that can hear my language. And not everyone hears my language, that's fine. We all are unique and different in where we come from, but for whoever, I think he has his people in the body of Israel is huge. And everyone has a different syntax, a different language, a different communication style. So I'm not maybe appropriate for some old grandma in Belarus or something who's knitting. She's not going to understand my vernacular. But there's a lot of guys that I grew up with that maybe I can help. So I'm just like you or anyone else, trying to kind of help in the perfecting process that he put us on to live by his ways, to be sanctified, and to improve. As long as we're going kind of in the right direction, I'm glowing happy. We're not going to get there in 1 second. It takes 40 years in the desert, at least, to kind of walk towards that deal. So it's got to be patient, and that's kind of what we're doing over there. So we're a community of dudes, and we have standards and stuff like that. We enforce boundaries and filters to make sure we're not getting off track. But for the most part, like, it's really, 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 really sweet, awesome dudes, primarily dudes. There's some ladies on there too. But we tried to go over those important things. So that's the story in a nutshell there.
We have the best sponsors on earth here at the Life Podcast. I'm so thankful for them because they not only make this possible, but I get a chance to introduce all you guys to all this awesome stuff. Now, the most recent one is Rotating Acres. They make deodorant, they make soap, they make lip balm. This everything balm is amazing. It's good for so many things, but I've used it mostly for bug bites and if my skin is ever irritated for any reason. The eczema balm I have not tried yet, but I'm going to. They sent it to me because they know that I have had eczema on my toe, and that Sam, my little son, has had eczema before. There's a muscle and joint cream that helps relax your muscles and joints. There's goat milk face cream. All of this stuff they have, like this Ranger deodorant, all of like their manly scents, they're made with essential oils. So this scent they make with sage, bergamot, and patchouli essential oils. Bergamot. How could they possibly know that my favorite tea is Earl Grey? The owners of Rotating Acres, Jamerson and Kim, are creating all of these products straight from the sheep that they rotationally graze on their land. They're not just feeding them a grain in a feedlot. And then they milk them, and then they get all the milk that they need for all of these products, and then they kill some of them, and they get the fat that they need for some of these products. So this is like cradle to the grave homestead. They're milking their own goats, they're killing their own goats, and they're using the parts of the animal that we're allowed to use. Their products are at a standard that is amazing. Not only are these products natural and organic, you can see all of the ingredients, you can pronounce everything, and most of it is made right there on their farm. Just go check out rotatingacres.com. Put in code THELIFE20 to get 20% off your first order, and they have been generous enough to give another code to get 15% off any subsequent order if you put in code THELIFE15. That's great. So how did you learn this stuff about the Bible, I guess? I mean, you're teaching people basically about the Bible and really the instructions therein and how to live your life according to it, it sounds like. How did you learn that?
Osmosis mostly. My father, I grew up Catholic, okay? And my father was a very good dad. He's still alive. An awesome dad. Best guy I could have ever, super blessed. He cared enough about his kids, and I got to spend a lot of time with him growing up, to download what was given, because there are parts of the deal where they tell the stories of the gospel, like in church, right? And so they call it the homily. And so he would always make sure on the drive home, and then for like all through the week, you remember in Deuteronomy how it says, teach this to your kids as you go by the way, and as you go fishing and as you're doing all your stuff and going to the store and going down to the hardware, Deuteronomy, it effectively commands fathers, make sure the kids understand the point of why we're here. Effectively, that God is in charge and we need to obey him because he has good ideas because he made us, right?
Yeah.
My father did a great job with that. From a youngest age, I remember him constantly, I had a constant awareness that God is absolutely he's there. I know that. And he's benevolent. He loves us. He's very patient. And the principles of Yeshua, effectively, later I found out his proper pronunciation of his name or whatever, right? But growing up just in that deal with my dad, I acquired my first taste for what we would call the instructions, the Torah now, through the teachings of Yeshua, who was the master Torah teacher. And I onboarded those from a man who loved his kids. So I received the law with love of a father who did a good job explaining it to his boys. Right? And so for me, that was like, wow. I looked back, and when you're a kid, you don't know that. But when you get older, like we now have some boys ourselves. We got our third little boy just a couple weeks ago. That's why I was late on the podcast. Sorry about that. It's funny,
No.
my wife was literally doing labor on the Shabbat. It's like, you're violating it, violating the Shabbat. She didn't like that so much. It's funny.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But my father had effectively communicated and downloaded all the critical terminal learning objectives of the instructions through Yeshua's teaching. He nailed it really well. And over a period of years, you go through your stumbling blocks, you go through your story. Kids, when they're adolescents, they want to wander the world and find out how stuff works and, try different stuff that doesn't work all that well. And through crashing into stuff and bumping into things and tripping over my shoelaces and like every other person that goes through their story, I went through an experience when I was a young man. And, life wasn't going the way that I wanted. I had all these great plans and it just didn't happen that way, right? And so he put me in circumstances that was extremely constricted, very stressful, extremely stressful, very, very like bad deal for a kid, for a young man who doesn't see all the stuff yet. And I met my wife through the miracles that happened there. I think we all got a story like that, right? After I prayed, and I, like not knowing all the mechanics of how stuff works in the universe, I just know the basic reality that he is always there. But I asked the Father, hey, like I need someone to like take care of me. I am lonely and I was just a young man, right? And like, I need a reliable, awesome wife. The next day I met her, and within a couple months we were married. And what a blessing that has been. And through her family was diehard, like Bible studying kind of church. Her uncle was the pastor there. This is in Western Montana. And her father took me under his wing when he realized like there's the momentum. Like I asked his permission for her hand because she was under his roof at the time, right? So she was still in high school. She was 18 years old and she was a senior in high school when I proposed on our second date. And because when I see quality, I grab it immediately. Like I am like, that's it. If I see a gold bar laying on the sidewalk, I'm like, oh, I'm going to, for sure, first thing I'm going to do is acquire that bar of gold. Not, I don't need to wait around. Like I've seen other stuff. I'm like, that's actual real gold. I'm going.
You're a smart man, sir.
Yeah, that's the luckiest like smartness I ever actually had. Right. So, to make a long story short, I dated her father effectively because it was all chaperone dates at her house because they're old school, man. He enforces those rules in that book. He guards his girls.
That's
So
good.
my dates are going to her house with her parents and we'd watch a movie, cartoon or whatever. But then her dad, we started going to their church and I learned more detail. I learned my introduction to the instructions was through my father, through the Catholic deal, because the heart of it is all there through the Gospels. The next phase was like they were studying, what was it? It was Exodus. And I love that story. I remember watching the 10 Commandments movie when I was a kid. My dad would, all those movies, Charlton Heston, he's like, oh, this really happened, son. My dad's an old cowboy. It's like, you need to watch this movie. That really actually happened. I'm like, wow, holy smokes, really? I'm like, yeah. And like, then and then he fills in the story. He's all excited, laying on the floor, smoking his cigarettes, drinking his coffee, Telling like, that was awesome. Remember that, anyways. And then also there was a Jesus movie that played in those days, Jesus of Nazareth, I think, right? And my dad did such a good job instilling that. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, my wife's family did a really good job. Yeah. So my father-in-law was a very, very sweet man, very patient. And he introduced me to Genesis and the creation story. And, we were doing a study in the church on Exodus, and they were just really excited about the word. And so I was very excited to learn about Genesis. I learned about creation, which I was a science kid. I was in science fairs and stuff like that growing up. And I always liked dinosaurs, right? Hence the name. And they did a good job introducing me to, I forget which ministry it was, creation, science, something. And that filled in all the gaps. When I saw that, and when I realized that the word of God, I didn't realize that the Bible was 100% the word of God, like literally. Once I realized that he was talking through that, then that's where I took off. And so I started off in Genesis, Bereshit, right? Chapter 1, and spent a lot of time in chapter 1. And then like the Exodus, and like it just like it was like hard to explain the reaction that happened. But like any other young man, like I was so thirsty for truth and righteousness, because my experience in the world before that was not full of truth and righteousness. It was a rough deal. And for me to be able to see the source of all life on the pages, and the gravity behind the scriptures, and that stuff actually I know happened. I mean, archaeologically, historically, but also scientifically. And I mean, like, I'm pretty well versed in general science and physics. And man, it explains so much and it explained all the mysteries that scientists are confused on. And that's where the real gravity came down. I realized this deal is life itself. This is all I want to do. And there's a lot of funny stories how I chose to kind of well, here's just to get the story a little more concise. The wife, God bless her, she's awesome. She's like, sweetheart, because we're going to different churches at the time, right? And some of the churches didn't really like, and so I'm just trying to find balance for the family, because when you're newlywed, you're trying to find like where are we going to both mutually kind of orbit in balance effectively. And she looked at me because I was looking to her for input. And then I was trying to push some different things, like, because, everyone has other motives. Like, well, I have the family motive to like stick to the family program, or the motive to do the smart one with all the cool guys in town, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, the other gravities that pull you around. And so I'm being affected by these other social gravities to choose what path exactly we're going to take, right? And she picked up on that, and she's like, sweetheart, you're the husband. I trust you 100%. I will do anything where you lead us. I'm giving it 100% to you. This is your responsibility. And so I'm like, but she's like so awesome, and she is raised so much. She's so perfect and so clean. Like, in my view, I mean, I love my wife. Like, I want my kids to turn out like her. If I ever have girls, I'm like, hold on a minute here. I'm responsible for someone that I love more than anybody. It's my responsibility that I don't lead her down the wrong path. So I got scared. And so I like put my hand, because I was like, I had like an agenda, I'm going to like prove my religious, whatever, dispositions or whatever. And I had to calm down on that. And there was a specific moment you're asking for it, right? You ever see the Blues Brothers?
Yeah.
Remember where they have the light coming through the window when they're at that church deal, when they receive their mission?
Yeah.
That happened in my little, we had a one room corner of an old house we were renting when we were first married. And we had blankets stapled to the windows because we were poor, right? And the light came in through the window effectively, like dramatically. And I just like was like, okay, I felt something like, here's the deal. I'm wrong. And I was studying something, I can't remember what it was in the gospel, to prove her that my particular point was correct, and it actually wasn't. And I had to like, okay, hold on a minute here. And when I found out that I was wrong, because I read it in the book, because I was reading the gospels for the first time when we were first married, right? Like the entire gospels. It straightened out every single thing that that I was wrong on. The gospel straightened me out. Like all my doctrines that were wrong, all my little details. I'm like, nope, that's not. Oh, geez, what? Like, but I loved it because Yeshua was so righteous and awesome. Like his teachings were awesome, especially for a kid coming from a similar world as his world was. Right, a bunch of excited religious people, kind of like not really doing it the way that God intended in the heart. And so his teachings were so powerful and righteous to where I'm like, I'm wrong. I'm dumb. I actually don't know anything. I could have been so wrong on this issue because I was so enthusiastic about it. I was so wrong on it. So I just kind of dropped it. I'm like, here's the deal. I'm going to do and follow anything that's in this book. I don't care what my previous position is, because I had to eat crow. You know what I'm saying? Like in front of everybody, because I was way, you know? And I knew that it was going to cost a huge amount of stuff with family, because some family wouldn't understand. They wouldn't be through the entire story. They wouldn't be able to see that, right? Like the entire process and all that. You can't share your entire story with someone and expect them to just, well, didn't you hear my story? Why didn't you convert right now? Like, that's not how it works. So there's going to be expensive costs for me socially, big time. And so I just dropped, I'm like, I can't walk on this like halfway doing what I kind of want to do. And then all the different, I have to pick one gravity, just one. It can't be me and what these people want and what's the expectation and then what's going to still, we have political leverage. Like, I can't do that. And because she was sitting there looking at me innocently, perfectly like innocent. And you know, that's my view as a husband. Of course, nobody's perfectly innocent. But I took I'm like, I'm going to do exactly what he says in this book. If he commanded it, we have to do it, even if we don't want to, especially when we don't want to. And all the stuff that doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to do it, and then I'll find out why later. I don't understand this commandment at all. A lot of those I did not understand, but I did it anyways. You know what I mean? And so the process is, after you choose that, your growth can now go in the right direction. And over the next 7 years or so, we learned more and more, and there's all sorts of paradigms that, like, you know, you're handed stuff in life you don't realize. Hold on a minute, this is prohibited, you know, or this is not hitting the target, but oh, I missed out on all this, you know. And so by choosing to just follow what he said to do, that was the ticket that caused learning to happen. And so then I surrounded myself with a multitude of experienced elders, right? Across the entire world. You know, once I got the computer, I think when I went to college, I got my first internet computer in '08, right? Then you start to really learn a lot of stuff quick because you can see other teachers than are in your town, you know? And so through a variety, hundreds of them, I was able to zero in on what God was saying. You can learn more what the words are saying. You can learn the processes, you know, for how to interpret these documents. And so we've been doing that now since, I suppose, I don't know where you would draw the line of when did you come into the deal, because like I said, it was a process from my father. I mean, Yeshua was my teacher as a little baby kid. You know, he was like the ultimate rabbi, I heard, you know. So there's that. Yep.
So basically, what inspired you to take things extremely serious was your wife counting on you and just putting it in your hands.
My
And
responsibility.
okay,
Once I
got
had
it.
actual responsibility for someone that I loved, that caused me to straighten up in 1 second.
And you alluded to changing your opinion on that or something there that you were wrong about, would have consequences with your immediate family. Is this right? And can you give us any details about that? You don't have to, but you
I think
could.
everyone goes through something like that. Your family has a certain deal that they're very zealous about, that they grow up in. And the expectation is that you're loyal to that deal. And what I tried to explain to a few of them, that only a couple of them even asked. The rest of them didn't want to touch it because I think they, you know, maybe they realized it wasn't their jurisdiction, because they're well trained on that part, at least. You know, they know that they have to worry about their own deal and not everyone else's. But the consequences, I mean, I try to explain it as like, I'm not violating what you guys think. It's, I am remaining loyal to God for what he actually said. And I don't need to change even my label so much. You know, sometimes people ask me like, well, what religion are you? And I'm like, I have a hard time answering that. Like, I'm doing what Yeshua instructed to do. And he instructed stuff that was, all his instructions come from a book that we missed. For full details, it's there. I try to stay away from the political definitions that we have drawn, because that's just causes contention. and I try to keep it on the center of gravity of the actual message. Interestingly, like a lot of my family, before they knew the title change had occurred, they really they like loved visiting about it. And I was fully doing all that. I was fully doing the program. And I was careful to not stumble them and say stuff that they would trip over. I would edit my talk, not to it's not my job with my elders to exhort them all the time, right? So I respected them and loved them. But where we found common ground, I poured it on thick and expounded on how awesome those things were, the things that they would like. And they thought like, wow, this is awesome. Look at this kid. Like he's doing really good. When they found out that there was an adjustment there in terms of title, that was expensive. But I love all those guys. They're awesome, but, cause they, some people are going to see that loyalty has to be through that very specific mechanism, but the mechanism actually is loyalty to Yeshua, right? It should be. I mean, that's what all those guys are supposed to teach us and preach to us, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
But it sounds like, I mean, to put a fine point on it, if we can, that they expect you to be loyal to maybe the Catholic Church, maybe different doctrines, and you slowly were realizing that by just trying to follow the scripture, you couldn't do those things. Is something like that?
Some of the things I can't do, I'd say there's overlap still, though. Think of the common ground. They fear and respect what they perceive to be God. Okay. They don't have the full definition of his righteousness because they didn't see the entire book, but they have that. They understand the Gospels pretty well. They do a good job on a lot of that stuff. There are details that were adjusted, just a few, that really caused a lot of problems politically for Rome, right? They're like, we can't do that. That's going to make all the priests, the Edict of Milan and the Edict of Thessalonica, where they like commanded the entire Roman Empire be Christian, like just automatically. And all the old priests from the pagan religions were like, you're in charge of this new religion now. Like that didn't work out very good. It would added some confusion in there. There's certain parts I would just kind of I would just kind of not be there. I'd not be around, right?
Yeah.
But people noticed that after about 8 years. It's okay. I don't hold anything against them. We have more common ground than we realize, right? And in order to maintain rapport enough to still be useful in their growth, I find it important to try to find that common ground and concentrate. We should be able to get along with other people on those points that are correct. We should always reinforce the positive stuff. And if the negative stuff comes up as a question, I have to default to, I'm like, this is not my jurisdiction. All I know is what God said. And here's what he said. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm not telling your families what to do. I'm telling you what I am doing to be careful, because there's a commandment here. And until someone can explain to me, like I'm just going to be very careful on this one, right? Certain issues, right? Or why are you doing things this way? Well, he said to do it.
Issues such as the 7-day Sabbath, eating according to Leviticus 11, this sort of stuff.
Yeah, eating food instead of stuff that ain't food, right? People take offense to that, and I understand the context. I remember what it was like when I did. Like, what do you mean you don't like, I understand the deal, right? Because people are going to automatically feel judged anytime you are not approving of what they're doing, just omitting yourself or editing yourself from a deal. They feel disapproved of, like, then they think you're judging you. Just the gravity of them realizing that you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's so awkward that I understand why they kind of like, take offense to it. Like, well, then explain to me what the problem is. Yeah.
Especially if they were entrusted with your spiritual growth. But I mean, that's why all parents can, if you ever believe something they don't, it can be, it's hard for it not to be.
Well, you know what?
Conflicting.
I was talking about my dad. And after about 8 years of doing stuff, he finally sent me down, like, what is it? What are you kids doing? Like, what is this thing? And he was like very zealous about it. He gave me some of the lines, that they would give you, like the warning lines, like, you are crossing the line here, mister. Like, you better do this, this, and this, or you're in big trouble, Like, didn't you know that this is a thing that you're supposed to do? And I had not evaded the topic, but I was just doing the stuff myself, respecting him and his house. Numbers chapter 30, I only can veto stuff from my house. I can't trespass on his house. He's the man of his house. I'm the man of my house. He asked me then, house to house, like, what's the deal? And I said, I don't really want to have to talk about this topic, but if you have to know why I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, probably about 3 big things.
Will you
I
say what they
will.
are? Sorry.
The
I'm
normal
very
one,
nosy. I'm very nosy.
holidays.
Okay.
I can't participate in heathen-derived holidays. That's a commandment. I cannot learn the way of the heathen. I can't do it. And you certainly cannot mix his stuff in with that. That's explicitly forbidden, right? I cannot forget the Shabbat. I can't forget it. He defines what that is. I don't get to. We are not authorized to overrule his stuff. There is a chain of command here. God is in charge, not us. Okay. And when he did give certain people authority and command, there are limits to that, which are defined in the text. Certain things the Supreme Court has authority over, certain things the Father of the house has authority over, but it's defined exactly which things are there. And when it says, thus saith the Lord thy God, that's like pretty clear. Like, okay, nobody gets to adjust that one, right? Some things are given unto the priests or the Levites, but like there's rules for how that is done. And I understand legal writings enough to I can see that, it's just clear, right? It's clear in the word. And so the holidays deal was a thing. I never crusaded against it. I don't need to. It stands on its own as true. Everyone knows it. I learned that in school from the nuns. They bragged about conquering those holidays and taking them over. Like I knew where it came from. When I realized we're not allowed to touch that stuff, when you invade the foreign countries, you don't take all their holy stuff and do it. That was like a mistake Israel made. When I read that, I'm like, well, I'm not doing that anymore then, you know? So there was the holy days, right? And then doing the holy days that are in there is insofar as much as we're allowed to do in diaspora outside the gates. You don't do certain stuff without the temple, but we're all supposed to observe those things. That was confusing. And then, yeah, the weekly Shabbat, right? Those are the big ones. And of course, the dietary thing too. But that was never that big of an issue, a little bit. It was annoying, I think, to people, but not that huge of a deal. Mostly, why are you not participating in this very specific program enthusiastically? That was the main issue.
Okay.
And so I had to review the Apostles' Creed that we would say in church growing up. I agree with 98% of it. And I agree almost with 100% of it, almost, if you define the words properly, right? So there's a lot of comment. I had to explain my Pa, I'm doing the original first century program. Like Peter, the first guy that was in charge of the church or whatever, that's what Catholics will always tell you that. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing what Peter did. This is literally what they did in Acts, So, yeah.
And how did that end up going with your dad?
Very well. It took it was 8 hours because I preluded it with respect. I'm like, Papa, I love you very much. You are smarter than me. You raised me to be good. This is me trying to do what's right. I do not want to win a contest with you. I have nothing to prove. I don't disapprove of my raising. You are the best dad I ever had. But I have to get this right because God told me to get it right. And so he was like, what? Never heard me talk serious like that before. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, if you want me to tell you, I will. I don't want to have this conversation. I will tell you because I love you, but I'm doing it. And so I told him the whole story, from the beginning to the end of and we went through the history too of how, hey, one of the big things that helps people to realize, and I'm not on what I do on my channel, just as a side, parenthetical, I don't really try to convert people, but people who are called to obey Papa and come into his fold and become Israelites, right? I try to assist them and help them with their walk. That's what I'm trying to perfect. We're all co-participating. I wouldn't even do I teach? Well, I teach only what I know. If I don't know, I'll look it up or I'll point to someone who would know something. That's a very important principle too. I don't teach stuff that I don't actually know, but I do know what I read in that book. I can point to the book. It's not me really teaching. I'm pointing to where I know where the stuff is in the book. So it's not that Rex is the teacher. The book is the instructions, not me. I have zero power, zero authority, other than the word of God has the inherent authority. So I point to that. It's like I said, like, my argument is this. I don't have an argument. I'm like, the word of God is authoritative in of itself. It carries the gravitas, not me. So I simply like, hey, Yeshua said this right here. And then I don't make them do it. I just present why I'm doing it. Right. And so with my father, when he heard that, and when he heard that, hey, look, this is how the apostles did it, Pa. And I was going to get into the story. I'm like, do you remember that one time when Yeshua, Jesus came? I used the word that he would understand, Jesus, right? When he came down here, and this was the religion established by God on Mount Sinai with Moses and the 10 Commandments. Remember that? He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. That was 100%. Moses was delivered what God exactly wanted everyone to do, correct? Yes. 1,500 years later, were they doing it exactly right? Or were they like way off? And he started, I'm like, we can drift over time. And it takes prophets. And in this case, Yeshua came down to adjust our path again, to get us back on with the original program, which he did, which was what we inherited in the quote unquote church in the first century. That was the original program restored the way it was supposed to be. That's what the apostles did for hundreds of years. Then we went into history, which he knows history very well. Not like I had to convince him of it. He knows the history. He knows the catechism. And so I just reminded him from a new angle, and he was like, oh, wow. And so he's like, okay, you're actually correct. Now, I'm very blessed that my parents are cool with it. Now, people when they're older, when they don't understand how to navigate all the different research tools, they don't grow in the same exact style we want, but it is hard. And my folks, I'm very, very blessed. They're not obnoxious about it. They're very quiet about their faith. They don't push it on anybody. But they understand and I was lucky enough, my brother and my sister, our whole family at the same time had that happen. All the kids did. And so all the kids were already doing it, and they knew it. They knew something was different.
They all, quote unquote,
same
started
time,
doing Torah stuff.
Same month through separate avenues slightly. So my sister started calling me about some things like, hey, did you hear about this? I'm like, I did. Like, well, watch this guy's thing, about whatever topic, and like my little brother through a separate deal, he was in a heavy metal band in a whole different town. And because we're a bunch of family musicians and stuff. And like him and his cousins, they all tripped over at the same time too. Exact same. It was within the same couple months. So I don't know what the deal was there, but a whole bunch of us just all of a sudden had that revelation kind of deal that, hey,
Wow.
we're not doing this the way we're supposed to, And so the thing is that God gave the perfect program to Moses and the Israelites. They drifted. It's not that Yeshua changed the program. He brought it back on the rails. He put the train back on the tracks. Not a new program. It's the original one. It's new from what the Pharisees were doing because they were way out in left field. They were the ones that were crazy. They were not doing it properly. He came to rule and make judgments and make authorized rulings, correcting where they're wrong. That's what you see in the Gospels. He's offering his rulings on the places where they were mistaken, on the places where they're correct. He did not correct them. He didn't need to. You guys are doing that fine. I don't need to talk about that. But this deal is way off, And so when you reread the gospel from that angle, it's like, oh, wow. Makes a lot more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And I've never heard it said that way, and it makes sense. And then
I've never told that. I don't think I never told that on here before. But I mean, my entire family is very, very genuine and awesome. And I don't count them as not being on board. I just think that we're all, bro, all of us are missing details still. You're missing details. I'm missing details. There are a lot of commandments, right? We got to be careful not to measure like, well, I got the Shabbat down. Okay, that's 1 out of 613 or whatever the number is, right? The 613 mitzvot, right?
Yeah.
There's 612 other ones, right? So it's more of a matter, I think, of us working with each other all to add obedience in the right direction rather than try to, because that's how it happened to me. It was a process.
Why do I have my phone out when I'm recording an ad for the sponsor of this podcast? Because I cannot stop looking at all of the awesome posts on the Whole Bible Community app. It's out, baby. It's out for the iPhone, and it will soon be out for Google Play. I'll keep you abreast of when it comes out. What is Whole Bible Community? Whole Bible Community is app-based. It's browser-based. It is basically Facebook for the Torah community, minus all the perverted stuff on Facebook, or the distracting stuff, or just the non-uplifting stuff. I just want you to know when I scroll through the feed, which is similar to any social media feed, I see, the first thing, I see a weekly Bible reading by Al McCarn. I see a weekly memory verse that says, now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. The next thing is also a Bible verse, Psalm 15. I see the zeal of Phineas, a teaching. It's like, this is the stuff that you're going to get on here. But you don't just have to post stuff as an individual. You can sign up as a group, and that's really a big point of this, so that you can not only find groups, but your group can use the app to connect with its members and to connect with new members. So if I'm traveling and I want to go to a new group in Georgia, I can look up my location in Georgia, see what groups are around, and then reach out to them right on the app. I don't have to call someone on their personal line or their email, because this gives one layer of anonymity to you as a group runner, so you don't have your personal information out there for everyone to see. If you're a business, you can put your business on here, and soon there will be a marketplace page that's in the works. There's an events page where you can look up Passovers according to whichever calendar you choose. You can look up not just Passover, Sukkot, all the feast days, and the other events. They have youth camps on here. They're all coming up. So go to check out wholebiblecommunity.com. Check out the app in the App Store. Friend me on there. Meet other believers. Interact on the thing. Update the thing rather than updating Facebook. Keep it all within the Torah observant family. Go to wholebiblecommunity.com and sign up. It's free. How did you avoid that pitfall that most people fall into when they come into this like knowledge download where of the Torah? They immediately want to like seemingly beat everyone over the head with it, and it sounds like you missed that.
That's the Crusaders, man. I know about the Crusades. I mean, that's fun, but it's not really healthy for everybody, and it sure as heck don't help the people you're trying to help. You know, because how do you crusade? Well, you get a shield and a sword, and you like attack a city. You know, like it's not constructive behavior. You know, if you can define the words, love and evil. And if you look at the Bible, evil is destructive activity. That's what that word means in the Hebrew. It's to destroy people. I'm going to leave. You know, Yeshua told us too. He's like, hey, you know, the wheat and the tares grow together. You don't go pulling the tares out. Talking about the field in general. He's like, you know, we're going to try our best to make sure the water and the light hits the plant. If it produces some fruit, I hope so. So I'm more of like I'm going to scatter the seeds. If they grow, they grow. If it lands on a rock, I'm not going to yell at the rock. I mean, there's a billion parables, not a billion, but probably if you really zoom in, right? Of like, hey man, Like when I plant my tree in the yard, it grows at the rate that it grows. I don't go out there and be like, hurry up! Like, I put more water on it, you're going to kill it. I put the proper amount of water that it needs until it's saturated, then I stop. Otherwise, I'll drown the plant. It's farming. It's orchard management, right? It has sunlight. Oh, it doesn't have sunlight. Why? Because I parked this trailer right in front of the sun. Okay, well, then I'll move that and I'll let it in sunlight, The word of God is like a seed, man. It grows at its thing, at its own pace. The way some trees grow very slow, but they're very strong. Like an oak tree grows really slow, but it's strong, and they go old. Some grow fast. There's different kinds of crops and plants, right? So I have patience. Like, this is a process. I also remember that it took 40 years for Israel. And they saw the Red Sea open, bro. The Red Sea opened up, and there's walls of water 800 feet high on either side, and they crossed. And they probably saw a whale in there, wave, like on the cartoon. They watched Egypt get nuked by the Almighty, effectively. They saw the 10 plagues. They heard him speak from Mount Sinai, and they were still confused and scared, which they should not have been scared or confused. But they were. It took them 40 years to even be ready to walk into the borders of the land. They weren't allowed in there because they weren't ready, right? So it takes time. That's the answer to that question. Like, I'm not in a hurry, man. Like, everyone's in a hurry to like win in 1 second, and they get impatient. Maybe it's that conquering attitude we inherit from like some churches. Like, they really get off on like trying to like collect people and put them under their belt. Like, I saved that guy. Hold on. Campaign ribbons. Here's all the dudes I saved right here. Here's all the Bible verses I remembered and quoted at them. Here's all the battles and arguments I won in my debate with grandma. Like, dude, like, it's not how this stuff works. He has to call them. You know what I mean? That's funny. Sorry.
No, that's great. It's great, and it visually proves a point, and then shames the people that are doing it just because you're showing how it should be done. And that's what I have enjoyed in getting to see some of your teachings online, is that you have this approach that I haven't seen before to two things that I've not seen done before this way: the Bible and prepping world. Like you bring the logic and you bring physics to these things. How did your brain develop in this way? I mean, how do you I don't know if you can even answer that, but
sure.
How do you
right? Israel's in Egypt, right? That's like they got Walmart, they got all the stuff, they got the university system, they got roads, the government's there to take care of them, right? They got all this food, like they got all this prosperity in Egypt. Well, that blew up, see, because it was distracting Israel from doing what they were actually supposed to do and come and learn from him on the mountain. The gravity of society was too big for Israel. They were worshiping the powers of Egypt, the economy of the cattle market. Read the 10 plagues, what they blew up. It represents all the things that were in Egypt. Well, the Nile River, like, we can't leave. We have the Nile River. Like, the gravity of the Nile River was screwing them up. So that was the Nile god. And the word God is Elohim, which means power. The gravitas, the weight, right? The authority. So like the cattle, the soil, well, the soil's so good, like all this stuff. Well, that blew up because God removed it from them because it was blind. It was causing them to be blind and not see him. It was in their way. It was restricting their vision, which is what the word Egypt means, Metzerim. Restricted vision, narrow vision, blind, short-sighted. And the word Israel is supposed to mean sees Yah. Wrestling with Yah, not wrestling with the cattle market in Egypt, not being blind. And so he removed that from their vision by taking it away from them. Okay? And so now they're in the desert with nothing. 6 million people in the desert with no resources. Can you imagine the logistics guy who came from Egypt, who's like in charge of the taskmasters, like stacking bricks, like, or whatever? Like, all right, how do we feed all these workers? Like, He probably was having a conniption fit. I don't know what to do, right? And so that guy had a hard time in the desert until they learned for 40 years that God provides for you, actually. He made the universe. He literally causes things to exist by speaking. That's how the universe got here, if you read the Genesis more slowly. He can speak food into existence. He, with the breath of his nostrils, blew the Red Sea apart. Like, he controls the fabric of all reality. He is actually God. This is not some natural process. And so, how we actually survive, the Torah is a survival manual for a world that got a cataclysm, a worldwide cataclysm. And empires rise and fall. I read a book in school about this, like history. Empires go up and then they go down. Longest standing civilization that ever existed has been Israel. Now, I'm not talking geopolitical. I'm talking the operating system, the law, the legal system, the laws, the moral standards. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, like, that is how you survive right there. It's a desert survival manual for having zero resources. And people think I'm being funny and cheeky. They don't understand. No. You see, Yah really does exist. And he actually has all power over everything. In real life, people are like, yeah, but we got to have power. Like, no. His instructions say, do not think that by the strength of your own hand you did this stuff and you won the battle or you survived or that you're prosperous. If you think it's the strength of your own hand, you're not seeing. Remember Jericho? What did they do? They just listened to their instructions and the stuff blew up. So the manual, the ultimate survival manual is there. It's just like plain as day, man. Like, that's how to not die in the desert, right? Need water? Well, if you're aligned properly to his will and you're behaving, he'll give you water, or he'll show you where it's at. He'll adjust where the wells are. He'll tell you where to dig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys want quails? Are you serious? You're not happy with the manna? You're hungry for some quails? Oh, I can make quails. You ever notice how they come out of the water? It mentions they come out from the sea. Remember on Genesis, he made the birds out of the water. Remember that?
Oh,
Yeah. So like, he
no.
ate a bunch of
Good
quails,
call.
like a billion of them. Like, okay, you want some quails? That's the funniest part of the Torah, where they're complaining. They don't. Well, if we could only eat some birds, that'd be great. He's like, you guys keep complaining. I'll give you some birds. I'll show you birds. They're like waist high. And they ate birds. It says until it came out of their nostrils. Like, there, you got enough of them now. I funny. He's like teaching his kids not to complain, right? So yeah,
You're right.
yeah. You don't need to like learn all this like tough guy stuff. We need to learn how to align ourselves with the giver of life. Like survival is about what? How would you just define survival?
Staying alive, I guess.
Keyword being alive, life, right?
Yeah.
Well, the law of biogenesis says that life begets life. Life only comes from other life.
Mm.
So life does not come from inanimate objects or lists. It comes from life. Well, Yah is life. He invented life. He is life. It says, I am the life multiple times in the book. That's where life actually comes from. And by obeying his rules and his commandments, we behave enough to handle our resources properly, to share, to not covet what we don't need, to not steal, to behave in a way that is efficient. It's absolutely a manual on how a civilization can survive. 100%, right?
Yeah.
To govern yourselves in a way that's like constructive and not destructive. You cannot be destructive and in a disaster zone. It's already a disaster zone. You only have to have positive energy input. And that's defined by love. Love, the definition of love is positive energy input. If you look at it thermodynamically, right? It's reversing entropy. Entropy is all stuff, if you don't touch it, just decays and goes bad. Love is a constructive force restoring order, right? You know, like the cops, they have that thing that says order from chaos with the blue line, the thin blue line. That blue line is the thin blue line that's on your seat. You know what I mean? That's the law. And order is on one side and chaos is on the other. You know what I mean? So it's talking about that it's just like with Genesis, like he took chaos and turned it into order because he's constructive. That's love. You know what I mean? He aligned chaos, the molecules aligned into like physics, the laws of chemistry, the laws of physics, molecules, and he subdivides that and creates more and more order. He's always increasing order in the universe. And so we have to follow the same model, which is to be constructive. And so one of the key things, and I'll give you a free one. You ready? One of the things in survival is to not be destructive. That means with how you behave with people, how you treat each other, and constructive energy input. Everyone has to make an environment where everyone is allowed to do that. The worst thing for survival is an adversarial disposition where you're always trying to conquer and win for yourself. That is like the thing that will kill survival right there. So the main thing we talk about in our, like when we have that conversation, because I have a special class just for that on the Patreon, it's called the Sulu. But it's about, hey man, can we like be excellent with each other for real? We have to stop conquering each other. And that goes for, that answers part of your question earlier. Why didn't I go and, correct all these people? Because I love them. And I understand that a constructive process is growth. Growth takes time. I will kill the trees and the plants if I punch them for not growing fast enough. All I need to do is open up and provide and allow the light to go through. If they have light in water, what is the light? Is the spirit. And the water is the word of God. They just need enough of that and the right spirit. That's the right attitude. The right attitude is not conquering our brothers or claiming them as, like a trophy on the battlefield of like religiosity. It's about just, hey, letting them have some of the light in the water. The seed of God, like plant the seed. Here's some more word, a little bit here. It's a process. It happens. Patience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's absolutely a survival manual. But it's like, here's the thing. Dig this. Prepping, right? Let's say you have a huge amount of skills. Name some cool prepping skills. Let's play a game. Go.
Starting fires, being able to hunt, being able to create, I guess, shelter outdoors. Those are some of the ones that come to mind.
Collecting food, right? So you build skills and you build resources, right?
Yeah.
What do bad people do with their skills? Starting fires in a different context. Like, we're going to start fires for like winning, like, and breaking things. Like, hold on a minute here. A skill is just a skill, but what direction is it pointed is the key element that is missing in prepper groups. You need more supplies. What, to feed a guerrilla force that's going to get in trouble and bring like the empire on you? That's a terrible idea. How about let's behave with our resources? How are you going to use your resources? For good or for evil? For constructive energy or for destructive? This is why the instruction manual is critical, because it operatively shows you how to utilize and point those resources in a way that will work for survival long term, physical and spiritual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, we got a guy, he's like a medic, and we got another guy, and he's like the Rambo guy, and then we have a helicopter pilot. Well, what are you going to do with all these tools? You've acquired all the tools, all the skills, and all the things. Are you going to use it to conquer your neighbors next door and steal their stuff? Because that is what we call a problem for survival. You understand?
Yeah.
So a lot of guys forget the importance of your operating system. Survival is 100% and 99.9% contingent on your operating system. How do you roll? If your operating system is your emotion, or loyalty towards your gang, right? A lot of guys have loyalty towards their specific gang, and that can be a denomination, that can be a Torah group, that can be anything. They have loyalty towards that gang. Like, no. The instructions define who gets what treatment, what direction, what do we apply where. We have to follow those instructions. We need to spend more time there. If we spend more time there, you realize that life is beautiful and smooth and effortless. That's the kingdom of heaven that Yeshua's describing. He's like, it's at hand. You now know how to get along if you want to, and then you'll be cooperating. I mean, like, I'm a train wreck physically after I had my illnesses and my cancer. We're doing for the most part, man, because we're in a cooperative environment with our friends, our neighbors. We're not adversarial, right? We try to be a blessing to everybody in the ways we can. We were, like, we're trying to live by the rule. Like, it is not hard to get along in life. Some people ram into all the different curbs all the time because maybe some details were missed. So that's really the most important thing. What direction are you going to use your skills? All right, we're going to do drills with the rifle. How engage multiple targets quickly. Okay, for what exact purpose? Are you going to defend your farm from bad guys, or are you going to go out and be a bad guy? You understand the difference? Yeah. So that's like, it's funny because we just like assume everyone's got that operating system downloaded, and they don't. Okay. It's different than saying like, oh, I like the Bible. Okay. Did you download the operating system of the Bible? Because here's a way of looking at it. On a computer program, what are like, I'm not a computer guy. Apple, is that an operating system? iOS, like 57
iOS,
right? So let's
yeah.
say I have an Apple iOS 57.8 as my operating system, and I grab a Windows application, which is like Torah 101, and I plug it onto my screwed up operating system that is not compatible. Like, oh, this Bible verse. Well, it's not on the right. It's not going to work. It's not going to play. It's going to, at best, not work properly. Maybe it'll kind of work. I've tried with some, because I'm not a computer guy on that, right? But like, you have to have the Bible not as an application on your old Babylonian operating system, where we run based on what's good for me, what makes me feel special and tough and winning and awesome, what puts me in the spotlight. That's the Babylonian operating system. Like, well, I'm angry, therefore that's like bad. Like, that's not his. We have to wipe our operating system clean. We have the hardware. Download that not as an app on your screwed up operating system. That is the operating system. It's not an app. The Torah, the instructions, are how your entire computer should function. Right here. Okay, now it's operating properly. Now you can plug in the apps. Like, oh, here's the prophets. They said this. Now it'll run properly. You plug Bible verses into a guy with a Babylonian operating system, they will use it to have every war that they ever had in Europe, or all the screwed up stuff Israel did, like back in the kingdom times, because their operating system was selfishness. Some of those guys were, not the whole country, right? But some of those guys were like, it's all about me. I'm the king. Like, oofta, guys, come on. Like, your operating system is no longer what Yah said to do. It's you. Everyone has to have a point in life where they upload that. And that's that moment I described when I was younger, where the light came in through the window, and I'm like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do that. That's downloading that as an operating system. It's making Yah your actual Elohim. I'm not in charge anymore. It's not about me or how I feel. It's not what I want. It's nothing about me being cool. It's not about me getting recognition or cool points. I am a slave to him and his righteousness. He is God. Elohim is God, not me. And not any other force of gravity on the earth. Is the first commandment. I don't see, like, it's very rare for people to obey the first commandment and actually have only him as your Elohim. That means he's your only gravity, right? So dig it.
Yeah.
How many times today were we worried or scared about something? Why? Because our Elohim was something else for a minute. Like, oh no, my pocketbook. Oh geez, so now your gravity is your finances? Federal Reserve notes? Hey, I got one over here. I found one. Right? If your only gravity is dad and you know he loves you, you're not allowed to be scared of anything besides him. That's what the first commandment teaches. It's only possible to execute when you actually make him your gravity. And that comes with experience, and that's like when you see him do stuff, or when you read the accounts, and when you really understand he actually made the universe. That's my favorite topic, by the way. He actually did make the universe. And like the Exodus, that's my second favorite topic. That actually happened. Those chariot wheels are at the bottom of the ocean right now. There's like markers where they crossed. At the Gulf of Aqaba there on Nueva Beach. Like, that actually historically happened. They found Mount Sinai. That story's true, actually. The whole top half of the mountain is burnt to a crisp. And it's not volcanic, because I'm a geologist. It is not volcanic. It's actually real. And so when that occurs to us, it's said, like, for Israelite culture, man, if you look at the Hebrew culture, the number one thing they train their kids, do you know what it is? The
What?
number one thing that's the number one objective for their children and all the stuff they learn.
What is it?
They have to know that God exists. They don't believe. They have to know it. They have to spend the time to make sure it's obvious. And the rocks cry out his name. Life does. Look in a microscope. This stuff did not happen on accident. The way school presents it is not doing it justice. I love microbiology. It blows my mind. You know what I mean? Like, he created the universe for real. His authorship is all over everything. Even the names he gave to the planets in the Torah, if you look at the details of the letters of the name, it explains all that stuff and where it's at and what size it is and all that stuff. Now, I don't know if the planets actually exist. Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of people on here. I don't want to offend anybody, right? But like, let's use the elements. Like, you look at the word for copper in the Torah, it has numeric value to it in the Hebrew numbering system. It tells you the scientific properties of copper, like its specific heat and all that stuff in chemistry. That's actually where I got most excited about Torah. I was going to college chemistry class.
Really?
I saw the periodic table, and then I looked at the alphabet, and I'm like, hold on a minute here. And then I read Genesis, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then I watch a bunch of old guys preach for like the hundreds and thousands of hours on the topic. Old guys with beards. And I watched them teach their fourth graders, and I'm like, whoa. Wow. That's okay. God invented all the stuff. 100%. It's in the Torah. And the Torah is his word. That's my favorite topics also. I get excited about that. It's not about me being smart. It's not about being smart in general. It's about God being Yah. And Yah is awesome, actually. That's the part why it energizes me, not because like, oh, I'm Rex and I understand chemistry. Kind of. But he does, and how about this? He invented it. Yeah. So that's the stuff that I love talking about over in the classroom there. So
Is there anything about chemistry and creation account and physics that pops into your head that was like oh wow, I never thought of that until you thought of it or learned it?
yeah, every day 50 times. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Dude, like, I'm never not entertained by walking outside or even sitting in here. You know what I mean? Like looking at the fabric of paper, like everything is like designed. You know what I mean? Physics, any topic, it just points out to its deal. But like, I mean, the first paradigm shift I had really when it had occurred to me is when I first started learning about Genesis with my wife's uncle. And they're so sweet how they did it too. They I don't know. It's a long story for a different time, but like they were like that process I describe of patience and long suffering and subtle watering. They did that to me. And I was like, a bum rock and roll kid that showed up in town homeless effectively and living in the back of my truck. And I'm dating their daughter. I mean, I worked at the pizza place in town. But you know what I mean? Like, they had patience with me. And I was like, appeared, like a scruffy kid, which I was. And like the amount of patience that like just like subtly, like one thing at a time, and then let it go and see how he handles it. Okay, a little bit more. Oh, he likes it. Okay, well, a little bit more. Now put the plate in front of him. And I dove into the plate of the scripture, and they're like, huh, you're hungry for that. You want more? Okay, don't eat too much. But the creation deal, man, like when they were teaching that, and then like most of our dates before we got married was me and her dad sitting there talking about biology, geology, the flood dynamics. I'm just trying to get a handle on like reality. The Torah explains reality. The Bible does. They call it the Bible in that church. The first 5 books. We call it the Torah, right? Or the Pentateuch. They call it the Pentateuch, right? Anyways, but like same thing, right? And so after learning that, I remember we're living in our house, a little tiny apartment deal. And there's like a cat, a stray cat. And so I let it inside because it's like winter time and wet out, a little kitten. And I'm petting the cat and I look at it. And I'm looking at the eyeballs on this critter, just a critter, right? One of God's many different creatures. And I'm looking at the programming of the eyeball on this cat. You got rods, you got cones, they're tiny little crystals, piezoelectric. It controls metabolism. It's wired to the brain in a way that like controls your entire endocrine system. Plus it can see and they visualize it and perceive the world around. I'm thinking about this, looking at this stupid little cat, which you can get 100 of them at the pound for free. You know what I mean? Like they're strays, like a stray cat. Who would think? And I'm like, this is the most complex machine times infinity than anything we've ever built. No scientist could build a kitten. Give them every resource in the world, they couldn't even come close. And the version they would do would be some silly tin can that would break or have to be recharged and couldn't make new tin cans and would have no personality and wouldn't be fluffy or anything. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't navigate and collect its own resources. It couldn't be viable. It's impossible. It's like our version of technology is like a cartoon version of his most basic life forms. Like even a paramecium is infinitely more complex than a space shuttle. You know what I mean? That's like a tiny little germ, like one-celled organism deal. Or a bacteria. Like, well, a bacteria, like that did not happen on accident. That thing is a super complex machine. So it occurred to me then, just looking at life. It's funny, dude's like, well, I would love to see proof that God exists. Like, dude, look in the mirror. How do you think you got here, man? You're made in his image. You know what I mean? Pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. This is the other thing. Thank goodness he didn't leave us without any advice. That's what I love about this Torah thing. That's what I love about all of the instructions throughout scripture. I love that they're instructions and they teach us how we're supposed to act. And without that, we're just fumbling around in the dark. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm glad I found those.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. It's like every single thing we need to know to live is in there. Every single thing is covered. Anything that's important in all of life, including all the social stuff, is important that is in there. Explicit instructions. If we were to follow that book, you know where we would live? Heaven, effectively. There'd be zero crime. You could go out and sleep on anyone's lawn and you wouldn't get mugged. Everyone would make sure everyone's okay at all times. Everyone would put in their part as best they can. They'd live to the fullness of their ability. Everyone would respect everyone else. It'd be like paradise if we just followed the book. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's funny because, like, there's absolutely zero reason for people to have Bible arguments other than I have not yet submitted to the instructions. I have my own idea, though, that competes with something. You know what I mean? Everything's explained in the instructions. There's no religious debates that are necessary. And even in the Torah community, you see that. A lot of debate, Really, rather than trying to make the case, what I've hoped people would do more is just like look at the book more closely. The answer is actually in the book. All the answers for all those little debates everyone has are in the book. Just got to read more carefully. Sometimes you got to find an old guy, like the old guys in the chairs. I spent and still do spend so much time like when I was little, I'd sit at the table. My uncles, I had like 14 aunts and uncles on my dad's side. And my favorite thing to do, all the other kids wanted to play around and build forts or whatever. I would sit with my uncles and just look over the table and my dad's like, you be quiet if we're visiting, but you can listen. Okay. And if it's appropriate, if someone talks to you, then you should talk back. But like, I want you to listen. You can sit here and listen to our conversation. I love listening to the uncles talk. So much wisdom and insight to be gained. So I've been doing that around like all the old guys that have been doing this book for a long time. I just listen. I don't agree with everything every one of them ever said. There's so much to learn there. I mean, osmotically, like I've learned, like, I don't know, from thousands of elders that have been doing it their whole lives that are, linked back thousands of years. So like when you look at, like, you just sit around and listen to the old guys, it's just that so much there. Sometimes the answer to the question we have is not evident on our brain, and it's maybe not on YouTube. Like, it's not all going to be on YouTube. That's how we search stuff, right? Like the source of ultimate wisdom. The internet will know, it's actually in the book. Anything important that's worth being, and if it's not in the book, there's an answer for that. That means dad is now in charge. So, like, that's your jurisdiction in your house. And the answer for the arguments is like, I don't get to tell you what to do in your house. That's in the book too. So there's 90% of your arguments gone because everyone's trying to convince everyone else what to do in their own house. Right? We have to filter people like that, or just be careful not to do that to each other. Right? Some things are like, if it's not explicitly in the book, or some things are left to the father's jurisdiction, like us as dads, right? Like, no, you do the best ethical choice on what car to buy. There is no answer for that, but the ethics apply, right? Some things are commanded, so do it. Well, I don't know what it is. There's a process to find out. Deuteronomy 17 tells you how to sort that out, right? So like, there's no reason anyone should be arguing. That's something that I'm looking forward to whenever that happens. And if you love each other, then there's no argument, even if they're still confused. And you just patiently like, okay, well, explain it as best you can, and then wish them good luck,
Yeah, that's
Hey,
how it should be.
yeah, I mean, we're all funny. We're all screwed up, and we all have slightly crooked ideas, I'm sure, on exactly how stuff goes. You ever notice how every year you look back and you're like, oof, can't believe who that guy was. He was all screwed up. But last year, I was sure I had it all figured out. I just had it down pat, Like, that's not how that works. If you're growing, Abraham's covenant, right? Which is the covenant, which Yeshua reiterates in the Sermon on the Mount. He's reiterating, he literally quotes the covenant. Abraham, I am Almighty God. Walk after me and be perfect. Now, the word perfect there doesn't mean in 1 second, and it doesn't mean perfect like we define it. It means be complete, be functional. Listen to what I'm telling you. Be fully instructed. You know what I mean? Be functional. That's what the word means. And it's a direction. It happens over time. It might even happen over thousands of years. I don't know. Maybe there's still stuff we're going to learn potentially, So that's always fun. It's a really fun journey and a fun path to this. Here's the other thing too, man. Here's the main point. The second we decide that we know everything and we have arrived is the second you are static and die. You become, like spiritually, you're like frozen. He commanded us to be on a path towards completion, perfection. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, that's the joy though of the thing too, right? It's not about winning or getting ahead of the other guy. I'm not measuring myself against you. That's another thing that helps with patience. People that are new or people that just can't see certain things, that's not my jurisdiction. All I can do is try to, like, if they make 1 inch in the right direction, I'd prefer they made 50 miles, but 1 inch is better than going in the wrong direction. So this thing should be an easy joy. There's no reason for contention if we're cool with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you thinking? Sorry, you're looking like you're thinking about something.
Yeah, I'm thinking about something. You said as long as we're cool with each other, how do we become cool with each other in this movement? If you could step back and like start advising the Torah movement in general, how do we be cool with each other? And
I gotta go.
And yeah.
Use the law on yourself first. And use the measuring stick you're using on everyone else on yourself first. Ask God for the ability to see where you're screwed up. I've done that a long time ago. Like, ooh, I am a train wreck constantly, all the time, not being perfect. Now I'm way better than I was yesterday and the day before. Some days I regress for a second, but then you know what I mean? Like, because you're trying to get it perfect. How small can you aim, right? So being cool, you will have patience for other people when you realize, hold on a minute here, I am also dumb. Like, oh, I don't have it perfect? Like, no. Yeshua commanded us, by the way, to be cool, you know? So it's like a commandment on top of it and multiple other ones. Like you guys, you know, like we're talking, I think you were watching one of my videos I sent you before we started. I don't know how far you got on that one. But like there's the piety police, the Pharisees, right? And they're like walking around with rulers and sticks and micrometers and like their red pen on their clipboard. They're like violating everybody all the time. Yeshua's like, hey, you guys, you are going to get the same ruler on you that you're using on your brothers right now on Judgment Day. I'm going to use the same ruler on you you're using on them. Okay, well then I'll be more cool then. You know what I mean? Probably a safe idea. What is he trying to communicate? You guys think you're smart? You're like a pot calling a pan black. Remember that old saying? Like, oh, you're both dirty pots. Like, calm down. You know what I mean? None of you are perfect yet. Nobody gets to be none of you are the boss, right? Let's not get all uppity here. Like, look in the mirror first. So apply the law to you first. Then you realize how hard it actually is and how you don't got it perfect. Use the magnifying glass. Dude, the purpose of the law is not to clobber everyone else with the law. That is a crusader's idea and mentality. That's how Rome conquered the other religions. They learned that from the Romans. Well, they need to believe in our cool gods that we have. Well, they're not. They don't understand. Well, let's teach them about it. And if they don't, then we'll hit them with these swords, and we'll invade their villages and do bad things to them. That'll learn them. Then they'll learn about how much our God loves them. Like, that's how the Romans did it, man. Terrible. That's not how this is supposed to work. Israel is supposed to be an example to the nations. Right? So when Israelites behave like Israelites, other nations will see the fruits and then they will be like, huh. And they might walk by for 10 years straight, just kind of looking at that weird Israelite over there. Like, that guy's like never like in drama. He's like all nice to everybody. And like when there's bad stuff, he just shakes his head and smiles and walks away and does good stuff. Like, what is he? That guy's weird. Look at how blessed he is. What are you doing over here? We're the example. You don't learn by conquering people. Who here has been conquered into the faith? Raise your hand. Did someone beat you up enough to where you did what they said? Because then you're following them as an Elohim. Here's the problem. For all the people that are zealous and want to win the Bible argument, if you convince someone to do your argument, what Elohim are they following now? You! They're not supposed to follow you. And it goes against any human's nature to follow other humans. People inadvertently present themselves as Elohim to each other. Well, I'm the right one. No, you are not. Yah is the right one. We need to come alongside of people and be like, hey, man, we're all in this boat called life together. I need to follow him. I'm going that way. I heard it's pretty awesome. That's the approach. Otherwise, you're jumping in between them and Elohim, and now they can't even go in that direction because you're in the way. Because now they'd be following you. Follow me, people. We're going to Elohim. Like, hold on a minute here. Let's all follow him. You understand?
Yeah.
And it's just basic human psychology. That never works on kids. It never works on teenagers. Sure as heck don't work on an adult. Some people like following other people. It's their hobby. But like, I always tell dudes, like, you're not following me, man. I'm following that as best I can. And if I'm screwed up, please let me know. If I'm about to step on something I shouldn't, tell me. I'm not better than anybody. That's crazy.
Why do we all want to be the boss? The Pharisees wanted to be the bosses. It happened ever since, way before Yeshua, and ever since him. We map it through history. What's going on with the human condition here?
Garden of Eden, man. Remember that story? Like, what was the enticement? Hey, I heard that we get to be an Elohim. Cool. I'll be an Elohim and I'll have knowledge. It's the tree of what? Knowledge of good and evil. Knowledge of good and evil is religious knowledge. But they wanted to acquire it for the sake of being Elohim. I will get religious knowledge and I'll show them that they were wrong. What's the motive of a lot of people in this walk? Can be that. And we have to be careful to keep in the right spot. It's like a lot of people that I know will prefix or pretext their whole thing on like, yeah, and those other people don't even know it, but soon they'll know that we were the right ones. I'm like, that's that Elohim kicking in again. Like, dude, he is God, not me. You know what I mean? This is Garden of Eden. Eve wanted to be like Elohim's, and it's like, oh, wow, I want power. Yeah. We have a problem with that for a little while. And here's the thing. The only way you can have that fixed is to see the cost of behaving like that. The more we see the wreckage we have caused on people through behaving like that, look at every war is people trying to flex their power over someone else. Every fight, someone tried to flex their power over another person. Every conflict is pride because someone wants to be an Elohim and the other one does not want to follow that Elohim. That's the history of the world. We do that inadvertently when we're crusading, or what word do you want? Evangelizing, or like trying to debate. Debates should be discovery mechanisms to hear new perspectives, right? That's the way I would approach it if I saw one. It's not to win, I hope. It's that the truth should be known by all. Not that the truth should even win, but the truth is the truth. You don't have to, it doesn't win, it just is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, we all want power, and that's the main malfunction. But the only way it's like what Yeshua did. How does he permanently destroy sin from your life? How did that thing work mechanically when he died?
He had to be perfect and then die, I guess. Is that how? And then his perfect blood he bequeaths to me out of the kindness of his heart. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of how
it's a bummer because like the religiosity and the language we inherited kind of confuses us from the basic premise. He was perfect, innocent lamb. Coolest, flesh that ever walked the earth. Flesh that was the word of God, by the way. Absolutely nothing wrong. Nicest person you'd ever meet. Did nothing wrong. Even was trying to have them have peace with Caesar and the centurions. Imagine that. And because we're goofballs and our disobedience, innocence got destroyed. Because those that want to be Elohims, like Eve, and then her, and like, well, actually it was Adam that was a responsible party. He was the one put in charge to guard the garden. us trying to be Elohim causes innocence to be destroyed. When you see the perfectness that he was suffer and be destroyed, when you comprehend that, when you ingest that, it's like like the Passover, unleavened bread, the bread of life, the idea of communion, right? Like when you ingest that reality of what happened and you take it on, you realize that like, oh man, this is really expensive. And you lose stomach for evil. And you lose stomach for wanting to be Elohim yourself. You realize that we're not qualified. Like some guys, how do you lose stomach for anything? Like when you see the atrocity that it is. How do you lose stomach for anything bad? Like drug addicts, right? When they see the guys behind the dumpster at some point doing what they're doing, they're just like, man, I lost stomach for it. Like how much perfect innocence was destroyed? That entire family was destroyed by that problem. You never want to do that ever again. And once you decide that once you see the light on that, and that's how that process works out. It's a process of what they call salvation, is through to realize that the consequences of sin. That's why they say when you look upon the stake, right, or the cross, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? That it's communicating like, dude, like, look at what you're doing. You just drove over a baby or whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you just destroyed perfectly innocent life. Why? So that you could be cool? When that occurs to us, and when it occurs to us what we're doing to people, because I have to win, you lose stomach for it. And then you lose stomach for conquering. And then when you finally drop your need to be Elohim all the time, like that's the thing that has to occur to each one of us. That's a process though, because there's always, we're wrestling with the flesh as long as we're stuck to it. But over a process of seeing it's cause and effect, inputs and outputs. Once you acquire a taste for that which is truly good, once you acquire the taste for the waters of life, which is his instructions, and how much more clean and that is. Once you acquire that taste for righteousness and you lose the taste for unrighteousness, now you discard that by choice forever. It's not just a mechanism that like is a magic button, boink, like, oh, there, now I'm good. No. It's a communication mechanism to cause us to truly not want to do that anymore. And in the kingdom, nobody's going to want to sin. It's not because God like automatically hit a button and then just erased from their brain. You're still going to have, but now guess what? You'll have full perspective on all forces in the universe. We got our wits. We see good and evil now. And now that you've seen fully and explored everything, he gave us what we wanted. You can see good and evil. And those that chose good can enjoy that. And they're not going to want to touch it with a 900-foot pole. Like, I am not going to steal that money laying on the sidewalk. I'm going to find who that belongs to. The other day I was at a store or something, and like the guy gave me like extra of a very expensive item, right? Like he actually counted it wrong. And like, I'm like, hold on, dude. Like this one you counted wrong. He's like, whoa, you're surprised. Like, what do you mean you're surprised? I am not going to steal from you. That's terrible. Like it's going to come back on me anyways, but like, I just don't want that to happen because I don't have a stomach for it. I've seen so much of it. It's so destructive to steal. It causes me to be lazy, and it causes someone else to be shorthanded. You know what I mean? So you got to lose this perspective. We're gaining perspective in this centrifuge of life. You know what I mean? We're gaining perspective on how the inputs, good and evil. That's what Abraham was walked to do. He went to Egypt to learn about good and evil. You know what I mean? And then like with all the first battle where they had to rescue Lot, like he saw that like, okay, well, both these sides are evil that conquered Lot. You got the empire attacking all the decadent people, from the east, the empire comes to like, we'll show them out of righteousness. And he's like, I don't want even a shoelace from you guys for spoils. I'll like just feed these guys and I'll give tribute to the king of righteousness. I don't want any money from me, not from evil. So he's learning input and output, good and evil, right? Through experience. And so that's like that. the more you encounter those experiences in life and you see the consequences of evil behavior, which is destructive behavior, you lose stomach for it if you're decent. Some guys are weird and they like it. That's a problem I don't know how to fix. That's not my jurisdiction. That's Yah's deal. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. It
yeah,
seems like
so that's like the mechanism of salvation is us actually going through this trip here. We have to learn what we wanted to learn. That's why it was so expensive to pay for the lesson too. It's like you want to understand why it's bad to be, for you to be a destructive Elohim. Gosh darn it, guys. Like, I do not want to have to show you this but you did. You know what I mean?
yeah, man. And that's, I guess, what's so beautiful about him making us and willing to die for us. But you mentioned this need to be Elohim, and I mean, you're in the survivalist prepping community, and it makes
Well,
me
I don't
feel
like that definition, but well, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
all right. Let's see, whatever you want to call it. In this community, it feels like that need to be Elohim, quote unquote, is mixed with the need to be responsible. Like it's a very heavy weight, or it can be, that is often, from what I can tell, motivating people, because it's like, well, if crap hits the fan, I'm the responsible party.
Mhm.
I got to know what to do. And so the motivation is that the buck stops with you in some ways. And so how can you help solve that for people? How can you lift that weight if you can, or what can lift that weight rather, I guess?
If your preparedness plans are motivated by love for your children and family to survive and have a good life, you'll be on the straight and narrow. If you're motivated because you want to conquer everyone when the lights go out, that's a problem. Very simple. And I don't define some people that are not called, or some people that are locked onto the wrong gravity. They're locked on, some people. Not my jurisdiction, man. I can't fix that. That Yah can melt hearts. I cannot. And the only thing that melts hearts, by the way, is the word. So the only thing that I can do positive to contribute is to share the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The solvent that will loosen that up potentially, right? But yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, the world is going to have to go through its thing, and people are going to have to. Some will learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I would hope he's not willing that any would perish, that everyone would repent and be saved. By the way, you ever notice how those words are always connected in the Bible? You have to repent and then you're saved. That means stop being bad. Not, I mean, like, stop serving bad stuff. Stop wanting to be bad, right? Try to do a good job. When my boys, I'm learning so much about all this with the boys. They'll do dumb, bad things because they're little kids. Sometimes they do it and they know they were bad. Even if they don't execute it perfectly, though, but they're trying to do it right, that counts for me because I love them. And they'll learn as they get older to mature in how to do it exactly proper. You know what I mean? So the threshold is not getting it perfect, but let's go on your intent should be positive, constructive intent. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of a big long circle around what you're talking about, sort of, but like the prepper community, there's a lot of variety of people in there. A lot of them are trying to make sure their family is okay. But a lot of them, like, talk to them. They'll broadcast what they're all about. You know what I mean? They'll tell you. They'll let you know.
It's
like,
too
hey, we're
bad.
gonna like make sure everything's in order. They want to be a warlord or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not into being a warlord. That's another reason why he said be set apart. I'm in an area where I don't even see anybody out here. You know what I mean? I'm so far away from humans, like, and the people that are here are really sweet, nice people that I have relationships with. And it's funny. Like when I moved to my area in North Dakota, I moved a little while ago, a couple years ago. I had no idea. Like, I just felt a weird urge. Like, I need to go to that one spot. I don't know why. It's not the coolest farm ever. Kind of a weird spot. Come to find out, there's a bunch of cool people here that are doing what we're trying to do. I'm like, what? And I found out a year and a half later, like they're just like walking distance. So then we all hang out for all the stuff, it's kind of funny.
That's great. That's great and rare. I mean, rare seeming. At least that's the biggest feedback I'm getting from people where they say, "Oh, I just wish I had community. I wish I had community who believe this way."
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Yah will direct that stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes, here's another thing you think about plants, right? Sometimes we want a certain resource, but he doesn't give it to us right away. When a plant goes through a drought and the water is reduced, now water is synonymous with having word of God, right? What if it's withheld a bit and just a very tiny amount? What happens to that plant during a drought? It's not growing on the top side. The leaves are starting to curl and it's looking like, man, it's having a hard time. What is going on with the plant? The energy in the plant, what is it doing?
Root is going deeper.
Yeah, the root is getting deeper. It's looking for water. Now look at the year cycle in the book. It's a big circle, right? You go through the spring feasts, and then you have the summer. And the summer goes through a dry spell in the local Mediterranean climate. But the latter rains kick in. Those roots were spending all summer growing deep. Why is Israel in diaspora? And the 10 tribes too. Scattered in the world. They're growing roots. When the water comes, poof, gonna go crazy. It's gonna grow like crazy. It's ready to grow when the water comes, the spirit. It's an analogy, man. So with us, sometimes you go through those dry periods. I don't have fellowship. Grow your roots into the soil. Understand from the hardships of life, the hardships of your circumstance. Your life is not yet perfect. Your house, you want to buy that homestead, but you can't afford it, whatever the thing is. My kids aren't behaving perfectly yet. Yeah, you and everyone else. It's just funny, like learn from, it's funny. Plants are planted into a thing called soil. What is soil made out of?
Carbon? Is it carbon? Organic matter?
Rocks. Yes, it's made from organic material, which is the wreckage of other things that are now destroyed. That's the best soil there is. You put a seed into the soil, and the wreckage of your past life, your past experiences, and your current bad experiences is the soil. And the roots go into that and draw from those experiences nutritional value that can build you up in a way designed by God's instructions, which is in the seed, programmed into the life of the seed of the plant, literally programmed into the DNA of the seed. And it reassembles all those bad experiences into a very specific structure, which makes up the organelles and cells and all the structures of the plant. The roots have to grow into the soil first so that it's strong, the wind won't blow it over. And so if any water does come, it can grab way more. Like that, a plant with a huge root system will make way better use of just a light rain than a plant that was overwatered. The plant is weaker when you water it too much. The plant gets stronger roots when you deprive it of water. So like my trees, I planted hundreds of trees because that's fun, right, on the farm. Like they go through a dry spell. I will not water it unless it's about to die, because I know what it's doing under the ground. It needs to find the actual water. It's sandy, well-drained soil where I'm at in the middle of my yard. And so those trees are trying to find it. And when they find it, you can tell, because once they start, like even in a drought, they're doing well. My trees, like it's been a drought this year, they're doing pretty good because the last 3 or 4 years, I give them water when they need it. But there is and Yah decides when the water comes, by the way. He decides when the rain comes. That's very clear. He decides when stuff gets watered. And me as, I don't want to adjust that ratio too much, right? Because there's natural cycles. If I artificially water the plants too much, I'll confuse them, because there's cycles for the year that are designed for that plant in my environmental conditions. You understand? So we take a lot of lessons from life and can learn so much about our walk by the parables he used. He compares us to crops and plants all the time, orchards. Beautiful. It's perfect because that is a life system he also developed. Same general principles apply. And so when people are looking for fellowship and they're deprived of it, they should, rather than trying to just look for more water, water me, water me, water me, like grow some roots deeper, you'll find more water when the water does come. You understand? That means the word. That means your experience in the word, perfecting your walk, letting him help you with that process more. Maybe you're not ready for the community yet. What would happen if a slightly immature person would join the community right away? They could do all that horrible stuff we were talking about earlier on accident, right? Maybe they're building character to the point to where they could cooperate. Yah knows everything that's around the corner. He has way better vision than we do. He knows the future and the past. He transcends all space, time, and matter. That's what his name literally means. So I trust that he will put me where I need to be at the right time without wrecking me. And many times I was deprived of things that I wanted. And I trust, because he is actually God, that, okay, that money at that time, I didn't need it. It would have wrecked me. And it's true. Or at this time, it built up my faith. It actually did go towards helping. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with blessings. You can spoil your kids too, and you can make them weak. You'll get your daily bread. That's the prayer that Yeshua taught us. Pray for what you need for today. Give us our daily bread. That's a soldier's ration. That's what you need to actually be okay. Pretty cool. He said all this stuff. It's not me teaching. I'm just repeating what he said. Like a parakeet.
I've never heard the diaspora part, that and a lot of it, but that's really cool. It's wow. And I think that will encourage people who are lacking community right now. And it will be the most beneficial thing they could possibly do. Become better, become more rooted in the word, and become the kind of person that can lead others rather than be a leech or just be in error.
Yeah. I mean, it's like also appreciating it when it comes to, right? I appreciated my wife when I met her because of the pretext. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through rough stuff in life. It's the worst times in my life that are the biggest blessings I ever had, because I appreciate the good stuff. Like, we were married for years and years and years before we had our first son, like over 15, I think 18 years before we had our first boy. But now we have 3. And I look back and I'm like, in some ways, I wish I was younger, because then I could like keep up with him physically, like climb all over the jungle gym and all that, like before I was wrecked, you know what I mean? From all the injuries and whatnot. I still play with them, but not to the, like, I'm thinking like all the young dads like get to do all that, right? Man, what a blessing it is they came when they did, because where it's actually important for me now is that they can learn what's important. And I would not have been able to deliver to them if it was the prior me. Everyone has their different processes in life and when they're ready for that. And I'm glad they were delivered at a time when I can, like, okay, I'm locked onto the right Elohim now for sure. Because you can say you're following the stuff and your gravity is like social reasons or the cultural like pin. A lot of us guys, we like wear this stuff or whatever of our religious walk because we're trying to win a game with people. It's a social exercise. It's a feather in the hat, a cultural feather in the hat. I'm glad I got past all that before I had my boys. Because my gravity now is, I don't care about that stuff, actually. I'm not mad at it when I see other people do it. We all stumble through that. But I'm so lucky that he waited until, I just want them to be attached to him and his righteousness, and I want them to have families. They don't need to be cool. That's another gravity, too, that we all got. We all want to be cool, right? We ain't that cool, man. We're cool in a different way than what we want. We're cool because we're made in his image, and we're cool when we're being nice to each other. That's what's actually cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that like it was postponed, because if it was on my clock, it would have been a disaster. That'd be like way off in left field. And I don't want to tell you how, but I know where they would be. Oh man, that'd be like not good. Then I'd need a time machine to go back in time. Wait, we do have a time machine. It's called obedience to the book. Did you know that? That's a whole nother lesson. You know what Sukkah is about? The Sukkah and Sukkot? Oh, it's very, very cool.
I don't know that part of it. I
dig this. Our God, in the definition of his name, transcends all space, time, and matter. Everything. He invented time. There was no time before he invented it. He invented it at creation. He can see all time at the same time. This, to him, it's like outside his thing. He's not even in it. He transcends all that. So when you're connected to him, trust his timing, because he is the one that has perfect. He's the time machine, and you're with him. You're outside of it. He'll go back and there's stuff that happened when I was little that now I'm like, whoa, that was for right now. And he was there. You know what I mean? You guys all got stuff like that in life. I got a million of them. Yeah, right. Look back. We spend too much time on television and stuff, right? Watching like all our stuff that we do, like, or playing video games. Like if we just reflect on all, like that's what Shabbat's kind of for, right? You're supposed to actually like rest. These things will occur to you. He'll whisper to you if you're hearing him. He'll remind you, like, see this? It happens every week. If you're listening, right? It's crazy. I could go off for 1,000 years on that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I want to hear it all. I don't want to keep you for eternity either. But
no, I'm fine.
All right. I have I guess, question, just personal curiosities. What fatherly advice do you have for raising sons?
I'm what I would consider to be stumbling through it as brand new dad. My boys are only 7.
Okay.
However, I was raised by an outstanding dad. So I have that experience. Maintain rapport. Okay? Be cool, patient, the fruits of the spirit. That's what my dad did. Loving, kind. When I had big screw ups, which I did, teenagers get into the cabinet you shouldn't once in a while, and then he gets sick, and he's like, okay, son, like, here's all right. Don't do that anymore. Don't scare your mother, but like, just like, here's what to do, drink some water and go, and then get some sleep or what, like, so patient and forgiving and kind and loving. But that's natural for dad. Just be cognizant that it's your responsibility. My dad did that. He spent time with me. I was super lucky. A lot of my friends did not get to have time with their dad, or their dad was like, maybe not a good guy. I don't know. But mine spent a lot of time with me. So I have like a huge amount of experience with a good dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, I don't know, because like it's only natural for a father to love his kids to the max. You have to let them see that. You have to have the time with them, right? That's something that I'm short on, actually, because, so much of our time is trying to make ends meet, right? More than it should be. That's why it's important not to covet stuff you don't need, because then you're a slave to it. And, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. Like, that's the other thing too, is like, if you bite off more than you can chew in life and and you need to work 90 hours a week, which, man, I know about being a workaholic. I'm terrible at that part. That's where you lose that bandwidth with your kids. Don't become enslaved to other stuff. Don't become enslaved to your trying to pay for stuff you didn't need. Don't covet. That's the most expensive commandment you can break. It's literally that's what puts you into slavery, coveting things you don't need. Do you actually need a $50,000 brand new car, or does your $3,000 Toyota still work? You know what I mean? Okay, now you have time. Now you have all the time in the world. You're not working 4 jobs, right? So we're super blessed. Mama gets to stay home full time. I work harder than I want to still, but we're trying to, like, it's important to spend time with those kiddos while they're here. You know what I mean? Maintain the rapport. That's the only way you can do it. And because you're going to love them, you're going to pour into them, but they can't do it if you're not right there. So getting drawn into side projects, cliques, things that you shouldn't, everything that you do socially, I think should be centered around families reinforcing each other with their families. So like our local group, right? And we didn't like plan this. It's just natural for all of us. We all got our kids. We love them. Everything we do is with the kids, designed to bless them, where they can all with mom and dad and their friends dwell together as a community when we do that. So the kids can have more context with each other, but it's with mom and dad being there, right? So like you can cooperate with people on that regard, but you can't get stuck on some kind of, you want to be careful what you dive into, right? Like don't go join the bowling league if it's going to take up the only time you have with your boy, right? Or don't become a crusader on some quest for some quixotic, Don Quixote. You ever read that book? Like charging windmills for honor. That's how I see everyone in the religious world trying to win their religious argument, is they're like Don Quixote. Like in their brain, they're slaying dragons. Like, I showed that guy for the Lord. Like, no, you didn't. You're slaying windmills. You imagined that was a problem. You're on a quixotic crusade. You're Don Quixote. Stop it. Your actual mission, what dads need to realize is their actual jurisdiction is their house. Not everyone else's house. You don't have to go off on a Don Quixote's adventure. Your jurisdiction is your house. If you're not taking care of that first, you're crazy. So edit your life. I had to do that tremendously in the last few years. And it's hard because a lot of these people, you actually love them. But like, you can't have your time robbed from you. You have to, or your energy. If they're not helping you actually to be with your family, you know what I mean? Then you gotta execute good discerning judgment as a dad. So choose to be a dad if you are one. Just having a child that came from you is not being a dad. If you're there, you're not a dad if you're not there. You're a biological father. You understand the difference? So you have to be there, otherwise don't count.
Yeah.
And I know there's guys that screwed up on that. I'm not judging them or trying to make them feel bad, but we all know that that's the way it is. If I can save someone who's accidentally doing that right now with new kids or whatever, if they're 30, you can still fix that. As long as they're still alive, you can fix it. Like, okay, stop it. Like just polishing your whatever car that was your thing that you were like distracted by for your whole life or whatever. Everyone's got their stuff that is like, well, the reason I couldn't hang out with my kids is this. Like, well, was that thing was that your responsibility? Or was that your special project? You know what I mean? So I stopped doing what I want to do and I'm doing what they need. You know what I mean? As best I can. And I still screw that up, man. I still screw that up. I'm not perfect at that by a long shot. I know from failure already, because like I'm busy and like they want Papa's time all the time. So excited when we finally get to do something, So grab them when you can, you know what I mean? Grab those experiences.
Man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to step back a little and look at the future as you can guess it? This is shifting gears completely.
Okay.
But what are your thoughts about, I know that's, survival, all that stuff. It really, at least for me to think about it, a lot of times it's inspired by my own imagination of future events.
Fun. Sure, that's easy enough. It's written kind of what'll go down. It is written. We have a map sheet, sort of. I mean, do I know exact what order of events? No, but I know that in general, we'll just keep the generalities for now, but you can read like Ezekiel and all the different stuff, and you can read Revelation or whatever, right? What Yeshua said, Matthew 24, all that, right? In general, we're hard learners. And all the typologies from Israel is the same program. We suck at learning. We have to learn the hard way. So through tribulation, the reason for tribulation existing, do you know where the word tribulation comes from? That's the word used in the Greek, effectively. You know what I mean? The
I don't
word
know where it comes from
is an
though.
agricultural term for the tribulum, which is the paddleboard with the rocks in it that you smack the grain with to get it released from the sheaves. It's like on a combine or a threshing machine, it's the thresher. It's for harvesting the wheat and getting the fruit off of the wheat. You don't get the fruit from the wheat unless you beat it up with a stick. It's designed for the saints. Be ready. He's going to remove your chaff. He's going to take everything away from the whole world, and all that's going to exist is your fruit. We're told to rejoice in our tribulation every time it's mentioned almost. And through tribulation, in every context of use. Look it up on the Blue Letter Bible app or whatever. Type in the word tribulation and read the line. It's all in the context of his people having their fruit presented. The oil only comes when you squish the grapes. It's the word in Hebrew for oil is like the hidden. It's a hidden treasure. The word is based on the word for hide. It's hidden inside. And it's the oil that you squish out. So be prepared for your oil to be squished out. Heat and pressure of tribulation and the wine press of the Lord. You remember those terms? Does the combine drive over to the weed forest and like harvest all the weeds? No, it's aimed at the crop. Yeah, the weeds that are mixed in are going to get thrown into the fire. Look at Israel's history. All of that was because of love. God's teaching them how stuff works. Yeah, right? So
Yeah.
we learn hard. And so be prepared for that. You can read what happens in Ezekiel as maybe fixing to go that way. I don't know. I don't worry about the news too much because I know it's coming. It's just guaranteed, right? So whenever it gets hard, then I guess our fruits will show. And then after that, we will then, because when you have stress on plants or stress in anyone's life, it causes them to realize what's actually important. Like right now, the stuff, I'll tell you what, when I was sick and I thought I was going to die, right? Like a slow motion train wreck. Like the doctor's like, yeah, you're toast. And you're like, what? Like months and months pondering death and the grave. And your wife like crying over your grave. That's fun. You will start to think about what's actually important. And the stuff that is not important blows away in the wind like chaff. The only thing that's important 1,000 years from now is your relationships and how you treated people. Nobody's going to care how tough you were, how scary you were, how rich you were, how much programs you did. Lord, look at all these works we've done in your name. We've built missionaries and done all this stuff, right? Not going to matter. Did you give someone a coat? Did you feed them when they're hungry? How did you treat each other is what he's looking at. All the cool stuff we do, he does not care. So we're going to learn that in tribulation. That's what you learn when it's down to the wire. When you're like, yeah, we're going to freeze to death in the next 4 hours because like car broke down in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of a war. You will know what's important, and hopefully you have enough of fruit to cleave to that, which is what? The love. Family, kids, before the impending disaster. It's a wonderful blessing to go through tribulation. Not supposed to fight it. And you can evade the combine, but there's the story of the Grim Reaper, right? From like Europe, I think is where that comes from, the guy with the thing. Kind of works like that. Like he'll find you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not escaping the harvest, man. Not if you have fruit, you're not. He needs to gather. Otherwise, why don't he's going to do that and then gather the fruit and put it in his barn. The grain goes into the barn. The rest blows away. That's not important. And then through the process in the barn, you'll be milled into a fine flour, and you'll become a beautiful loaf, and like all this stuff. Like, so,
and we want that part. We want to be in the barn.
Right. So once we learn perspective of what's important, we will be extremely blessed. And our attitudes will finally be fixed, and we're not going to like bad stuff anymore, or dumb distractions will melt away. Think of the blessing to go through it. You will not care. Like when your kids and your wife and you are all in a situation that's really hard, you're going to care less about bad things. The more you're blessed, the more you're challenged, actually, spiritually, with the wrong gravity. He will remove all the other gravities and see what actually exists. If it's him, then you'll go straight to him. Boom. Acquired in the barn. There you go. So times are going to get rough, man. That's normal. He commanded us to be set apart so that it's done in a different way than it will be with everyone else, right? But like, don't plan on like escaping all discomfort. You know what I mean? We should prepare because we're responsible to feed our families. I'm absolutely trying to make sure that we have trees that can continue to produce food, trying to learn, more skills and identifying what food is growing in my yard everywhere that I didn't realize. You know what I mean? Like there's food all over. Or hunting or whatever. Like we're supposed to be good dads and we have to provide for our family and protect them. We go through all those material measures within reason, but your strength is in Yah. And when the constriction comes, trust for him to provide. That's why they were in tribulation in the desert. There was no water or food in the desert. Millions of people figure out the logistics. He could then take care of them. And then the relationship was like, well, we actually need you now. Okay, we actually need you. We'll come to you now. We look forward to that part. And then after the bad stuff, it says, you can read the book. They clean up the mess after the feast of the birds and eats all the bad guys, right? That's kind of a scary part in the Bible. They clean up all the bones, and then you got some extra fuel, from the weapons you can burn for a few years or whatever. You can got some, stuff you can convert into plowshares. And then guess what? He rebuilds it the way it used to be. The kingdom is reinstituted on the earth. Read the final chapters of Ezekiel after what happens. The late 30s chapters all the way to the end. He reinstitutes the whole program. And it's done properly this time, so the entire world can see that it does work when we obey his program. We'll have, now they call it the 1,000 years. That word is not necessarily numerically 1,000, although it is. It's the word elef, which means unification as well. It means perfectly unified on an extreme level. The years where the world is unified under his command is what it's talking about. And that's what 1,000 means in Hebrew. When a Hebrew guy hears that read, when they hear Aleph, they're thinking of the number 1 too, but they're also thinking of like other things like strength, unity, all that stuff. Aleph, which is 1,000, is like, and you can read that in the Torah multiple times. Anytime they use that number, it's talking about unification. Yeah. So look forward to all the confused people not being confused anymore, including us. Look forward to understanding what's important in life. Look forward to understanding where your fruits are. And then look forward to being unified in something that is righteous. Man. That's the cool part. I'm super looking forward to all that to happen. Is it going to hurt a lot? Yeah. Probably. But less, the more, like, some people will probably make it through with the, like maybe if your fruits are already fall off before the combine gets there, well then, then you're good.
Basically, if you're perfect, if you're
I'm banking on that. I don't know how this works.
So we can become perfect and complete before all this, and maybe we'll be all
Yeah,
good
hopefully.
to go.
Well, I mean, like, we all should want to be like Dad, right? And that's the part people get funny, like, what do you think, you can be perfect? I love Dad. I'm trying to be just like him. Dude, you should be happy when your kids are trying to mimic you exactly. They're not going to get it right, that's obvious, but they're trying to be just like Dad. I'm happy when my boys do that on my good points, not on my bad points. I need to erase those better. You know what I mean?
Me too.
But yeah, because they got those too, right? So you got to be careful. But like, yeah, amplify the good stuff, man. Fun, huh?
Yes, man, it's so fun. I know I can't keep you forever, so maybe I just have one more or so.
My coffee is
Okay.
properly sitting now, so I'm not like wigging out from the coffee.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, my endocrine system's all messed up. I can't handle coffee very well or anything like that. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, do you have any advice for, let's just say, the Christian world at large? Now that you're on this side of the program, if you will. Let's say you could talk to yourself 30 years ago, 20 years ago, specifically to do with Torah stuff. Would you give yourself any sort of prompt?
It wouldn't be intellectual.
Okay.
It would be showing the peace and joy that it is available, living it in view. But that happened to me, though. There was lots of people along the path that were doing that. I never noticed it until later. But I developed a taste to want to have that before I ever got it from those people that there were. I can think of a million people that I knew growing up. I have an old aunt, great aunt, and she was very much like that. Like, how is that lady never angry? Or I had an uncle, a great uncle, and old cowboy guy, never not smiling ever. He was in World War II and stuff like that, and then he worked on the ranch for all those years. But like, I never seen him get rattled or shaken by anything. And there'd be drama in the family. He was just happy to be there with all the young kids. Like, oh hey, and he's like old guy, the white hair, the big handlebar mustache, and the cowboy hat, and come over. Hey, all you kids doing over here? Heavy metal kids, back in those days. Like, we're in a rock band. Like, oh, good, that's fun there. So you haven't, and like, just a super awesome old dude. He was a living example of the joy of what we're wanting to do. He was doing Torah, not talking about it. Do Torah. And I wouldn't tell somebody to do Torah. I would do it so they could enjoy the blessings from that. Because he was a blessing. I learned what stability looks like. And peace. He was never upset. I don't remember him ever being upset. He had no reason to be upset. Even at funerals, he's like, well, that's part of the deal. That's what happens. Only two things are guaranteed, taxes and death, God knows he'll take care of him. Don't worry about it. He followed the first commandment. He wasn't scared of anything. He didn't worry about social nothing. He didn't care about being cool. He never had to exert any kind of leverage or dominance. He was just cool. He was doing and being what the instructions describe as a complete man. And he was not even in our religion.
I have another question, kind of sort of statement, but will lead into a question. This that you're describing is like my dad, almost exactly. Everything you're saying, my dad is like that. Now, he never went to church with us, really. He went once or twice, but he's not into Christianity, although he believes. Yeah, it was.
Yeshua was hanging out with some fishermen laying in a wheat field, and then the church guys came out of their church to come yell at him. You're doing it improper. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not, maybe, how do you know you weren't in church? Yeah. It's an assembly of people that are doing what God said. Do you have to advertise that you're doing what God said, or are you just doing it and nobody noticed? It's not about the flag we fly. It's not about the uniform we choose to put on. or the label we put on it. It's about who you are. What are you doing? Deuteronomy. What are you doing? What are the word? That's not what it means, but like, the word, living the word is what that means, right? As Moses is trying to live the word, telling his story about how the word fleshed out in his life. That's the ultimate testimony and instructional thing you can do with anybody, is to just live the way Yeshua did as best as you can. And you don't ever have to say it. You just do it. And if they're ever wondering, they'll notice all the weird stuff. And if you need to source it, then you can be like, that's what Papa wants us to do. He told us right there. Remember, you can quote him. Always point to him as the answer, not you, not some other program, not some group. Point to Papa as the answer. For any time someone asks the reason for the hope that was in you, you better have an answer that is correct. The answer that is correct is, well, Dad told us how to live, man. He said that we need to be cool with each other, so I'm trying hard to do that. Infinite horsepower. E equals MC squared, baby. Like, I'm saying, like, seriously, that's how this deal actually works. It's the light of God times the mass. That's E equals MC squared. The light of God, right, times the mass, right? Both kinds of light. Study for it. Never mind, that's physics. We can talk on the phone sometime about that. It's fun. But the energy is having his light applied to our vision and what we're doing, the matter of who we are. That's where Einstein got that from Genesis,
Really?
Yeah. He said so to his friends in his culture that he was in.
Wow.
It's just like right there in the Bible, the equation. It's funny. Yeah.
Goodness, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and then some mean guys took it and reversed it. Literally put it in reverse. Instead of a creative force that makes the universe, it unravels the universe in the same exact fashion. Called an atomic bomb. And that's why he was mad at Oppenheimer, because he should have known better. He also had similar training to know better, but he didn't do it.
Gracious.
Yeah, we're crazy. You can take the word of God, can be used as they say it's a double-edged sword. You can use it to destroy people. You can use it to build things up. Look at the history of religiosity destroying everything. But then there's a few that are trying to build. Be that guy. Live the word in its life form. In the way that it is supposed to be life, magnifying life, not death. It can be used to judge. It can either be a curse or a blessing. Remember what Moses said 50 billion times. This will either be a blessing or a curse. Now that you know who's in charge, like this word I'm giving you, these instructions. Do you want destruction or do you want blessings? Right? Yeah.
Life and death.
Yeah. Can use it to conquer everything and win, or you can use it to help everybody, including yourself first. Like we got to help your family. Like, we need to apply it to us first. It's meant for us. It's not meant for me to throw at you. Like, I'm going to ball up a commandment, make a dirt ball out of it, and just throw it and hit you in the face and you're not paying attention. Not why it's there. It's there to help me to be nicer to you. And then you can also learn how you can take the word to be nicer to me. And then that's how it's supposed to work. We don't throw it at each other. Yeah, that's what the church world taught us. See, we still got that inherited. We're just crazy. And we have to be recognized every time we win, right? And that's something. We're such crazy kids. I'll tell you what. So someday we're going to look back and go, oh boy. Sorry about that one. Oh, I love you, man. It's good talk. Yeah.
This is fun. All right. Last one then. You use your platform or whatever you want to call it to largely instruct people, teach them, show them these ways of righteousness. It seems. I mean, in some ways,
it's camouflaged. That's what I base everything on. anything you can do, building cars or anything, if you do it with God's principles, it actually works. Again, that E equals MC squared thing. You take any mass of anything and multiply it by God's light, and it actually goes very productive. So yes, we do classes and stuff on other topics like survival or shooting, but like there's a point to it. Yep.
What motivates you to reveal that to them, to guide people, to give the truth, etc.?
No, it was very beneficial for me, man. I love people. I want them to have joy and pleasure in the proper way in life. I want them to be attached. Dude, if everyone can thrive on God's provision, they'll be fully satisfied, and then the entire world will not need to continuously fight over resource. The resources are not finite. They're infinite if you go to the source of the resource. If everyone's happy with it's good for everybody. It's not it's not a selfish motivation. I mean, part of it is, to be honest. The selfish motivation I have is if they can learn how to do it, everyone, then I'll benefit because I will. But everyone benefits.
Yeah.
It's who we're supposed to be. It's built into somewhere back in there. We are made in the image of Yah, right? That's that desire that can be unlocked a bit as, you experience more of his blessings. You try to share it, right?
Yeah.
Dude, if I found like a huge thing of root beer behind the hill and we're out in the forest and I'm sitting there drinking root beer, just enjoying it. And you're like, dude, where's the root beer come from? I'm your friend. So I'd be like, right over there. That's simple. Like, I want you to also be smiling. I want you to be happy too, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's just normal, isn't it? I hope it would be normal. It would never occur to me to leverage my root beer power over you. You ever see Bill and Ted? The movie?
Yeah.
I love their line. And it's interesting who wrote that movie, by the way. They had an interesting view on stuff. They always try to encrypt stuff into those movies, even though it's a stupid teenager, like summertime, apostate, terrible, horrific movie that none of you should watch. According to Queen Victoria, would be very disappointed. You watched it. It violates her standards of what's decent. Sorry. I always keep that one handy there, Queen Victoria, because she enters the room like, that's not couth. How dare Rex talk about such vile, vulgar, common people references? Okay, Queen Victoria, calm down. I don't obey her, anyways. It's funny. But in the movie Bill and Ted, in the future, it's like they changed the world, right? And there's the theme. It's cheesy. It's really stupid. And I wouldn't watch it with little kids unless you're ready to explain all this stuff. But to be excellent to each other's dudes and party on. Yeah. That's what the garden was supposed to be. Like, this is supposed to be a good existence, man. The kingdom of heaven actually is at hand, So we need to be more like Bill and Ted do a better job explaining the Bible than almost any preacher I've ever seen. Be in their attitude, like, hey, future Ted, hey, like they just don't care about any of the stuff that everyone else is worried about. I love when they go see Socrates. That whole part is hilarious. Socrates, like, all we are is dust in the wind, dude. Dust in the wind, which biblically is actually true. He breathed the ruach into the dust of the earth, Adamah. There you go, the dirt.
You're right, man.
We are dust in the wind, and to dust you shall return. A lot of stuff, man. It's fun, isn't it? I love you.
Yes. Fun. I knew there was something profound about Bill and Ted.
That's right. Oh, by the way, God gave rock and roll to you, Rock. What's that?
Yeshua, I guess.
Yeah, the rock, the commandments, Yeshua. What's the roll? All the other details. That's why I say that all the time.
How you
Now, did
roll.
they intend that when they invented the music? I don't know, but that's why I say it. It's an inside joke if you ever hear me say it. So,
I like it.
yeah, it's fun.
Well, tell us where people can find you.
Interwebs there's this
Okay.
called the internet, okay? And you type in www.youtube, I think, and then you type on the little magnifying glass Tibor, Tibor, Saurus, like the dinosaur. I don't want to try to spell it without looking at the thing. I might say something wrong. Rex, the dinosaur. Or Rex reviews if you want my reviews on equipment, because that's the important stuff, right? But or on Patreon, if you'd like to do the classes and stuff. I don't really talk about what we're talking about in public generally. I'm trying to be careful. We're commanded in many different ways to be careful, not to trip people or stumble them. So normally these types of conversations will stumble more people than they will. So it's more of an exclusive gated kind of deal for people that want to have that conversation. Then we all join up over there on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Tiborasaurus Rex. And it's like 17 cents so that my kids can eat. So if you want my kids to eat 17 cents worth of food per day, then you can. But I do appreciate you helping my kids to eat food. So that's for the lower level tier. I got 5 tiers. So I do like serious training that actually like I put a lot of work into the serious training. Those are a little more for the cost or whatever. But yeah, and that's where to find that stuff. But I have the public stuff on YouTube as well. But that's way, way, way. Used to do sometimes I do training. I used to have the company Rex Defense, but I don't do that publicly anymore. I only do that with people from that I know from the other deal. So if you're on Patreon deal and have enough bandwidth to know that you're not like a crazy bad guy, then I include you in the list for the training list. So if you ever wanted to do the training with the rifle stuff or any of that kind of stuff, it's through that first. Okay. That's just my responsibility to make sure I'm being careful with the things that I've been given. Because I realized after a certain amount of observation, not everyone plays nice with their pointy objects. So I'm like, okay, I got to be more careful. only
That makes
help
sense.
people with their pointy object if they're going to be like a good guy. You know what I mean? So
Not everyone is going to be excellent to each other.
no, I learned about that one. Yeah, it's a hard lesson.
Well, thank you, sir, for all the time and wisdom that you've given us today. I appreciate it greatly.
Well, no, it's good to be here. Thank you for being such a gentleman and so patient in adjusting our schedules. And yeah, if you ever want to visit again, man, just give me a ring.
So that was the end of our interview, everybody. But 3 weeks later, Rex reached out to me and we talked again. Rex, after the interview, you reached out to me and said you had a doctor's appointment and it wasn't the greatest result. Maybe everything's fine, but maybe not.
Yeah. I think in the podcast, because we recorded that, what was it, 2 weeks ago from right now?
But
This
at
is
least, yeah.
yeah. So it's a couple weeks ago. I was feeling not good to sit in the chair. You remember that? I was having a hard time and I had to stand up and walk it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I've been feeling weird for quite a while, not right. Like just kind of, besides the pain part, just feeling off with energy levels and weird glitchy stuff. And so for the last few years, I've been feeling just kind of progressively more pain, more uncomfortable, and weird symptoms. And so, tough guy, right? Like culture, right? Hanging around tough guys or whatever. The idea is to try to I just need to work harder at it and stuff. So I did a lot of different stuff. I tried to work on some of the exercise, maybe walk it off. But the problem is I feel way off, dizzy. It's hard to stand up for more than a little while. I have a weird kind of confusion, dizzy spells here and there. I covered up pretty well as best I can. I don't really complain a lot. I tried to bury that as much as possible. I actually went to physical therapy that lasted for about a year ago because of the chronic pain that was, like just sitting in the wrong chair or like standing on uneven ground would really mess me up.
Mm.
And so I did physical therapy, and the therapist literally worked on me with how to ignore the pain and how to reset your pain threshold, because obviously it's just anxiety and you're, kind of a wuss and all this, right? So I reset my pain threshold and kind of learned that, okay, just because something hurts doesn't mean there's actually a problem, right? It could just be your imagination. So I took a year of training on how to ignore the pain, right?
Gosh, you're kidding
I
me.
walked through it. No, I'm serious. It's a funny story, right? And so everyone's like, yeah, good job. That's good. And so anyways, like the last week, man, like I think it was about a week after we did our podcast thing when we recorded this, I had like a significant increase in pain and discomfort. Now it's been ramping up slowly for a while, but I had a significant increase in it. And I woke up one morning a couple days ago at 2 a.m, sweating and with my teeth chattering and nauseous from the pain, like I was throwing up pain.
Mm.
And whole insides were hurting that week. Like just terrible, terrible pain all on my insides. And so, and I communicate all that to the doctors. I have regular appointments. They check my stuff. They do their blood work, right? I'm on a few different prescriptions to manage other peripheral issues. And so I've communicated this increasing pain and all the weird stuff for the last few years, and it was really severe pain. Like it was 2 a.m, and so I got mama and the babies because I figured, I'm going to go to the emergency room, and we're out of town quite a ways. And so we packed up the kiddos, in their little pajamas and drove to the emergency room. And it was kind of an ordeal. They tried to manage the pain because it was bad. Like I thought maybe an organ had ruptured, or I don't know, like, or I had that salad disease that's on the news, with your guts hurting from the salad. I thought it was that. I was hoping it was that. Deep down inside, I knew that, man, there's something chronic going on here, because I felt that it's just like been a long time. They did a CT, CAT scan, and they were really slow to report the results. And I had a very strong feeling that stuff's going to change a bit. And I had and I don't have these very often. Because they finally managed the pain after like attempt number 3. Like the first, they give you that stuff in the hospital, whatever, that's supposed to fix it, and like it didn't do nothing.
Mm.
But I had a very strong walkthrough in my mind of all the stuff that needs to be tweaked and adjusted and fixed, like with people or situations, or things like that, and to make sure mama's going to be set up. I don't know, it's just very strange, because it was like I wasn't. It was like like a tour, right? And so doctor comes in. It was the next shift. By then it was about 6 or 7 in the morning, and he comes in and he just says the deal, like, hey, we found we got to get you to oncology. You've got what do they call it, peritoneal, I don't know the medical terms, mass kind of on your spine above your pelvic bone. And so he was real quick to get through the report. He didn't want to even look at me in the eyes. And so I'm like, hey man, like, slow down a minute. Like, so what is it? You got masses, plural, on your spine, kind of where your lymph node stuff is. And so I said, how big? And he says 8.2 centimeters or something for the bigger one. So that's like pretty big, right? And so with my history of having cancer, I think I told part of that. Did we talk about that, Luke?
You alluded to it, yes, a little.
Cancer 10 years ago in the area where those lymph nodes would be attached to. Okay, so that would have been the lymph nodes that would have controlled that. So because of that history, and I beat the cancer through a bunch of chemotherapy treatments, that was not my favorite thing to do, right? So like one of my biggest fears, as much as we're commanded not to fear anything, still, like my weakness is like, man, I do not want to do that game twice. I don't want to ever do that again, right? And so I was like hoping that was not the deal. And anyways, told me the news, and you got to forward me to oncology in the big city now. So I got to go to the big city. I'm going to go tomorrow, and they're going to do all kinds of more tests, find out exactly what's going on, higher resolution PET scans and infrared or whatever dye tests with the different stuff, all the special magic juices, just to see what it is and diagnose it. So it ain't 100% diagnosed exactly what it is, but they're giant masses that are like absolutely causing weird peripheral, like, I mean, I hurt a lot. So the pain is like a lot, and I've had pain for a while, but I learned to just kind of like get through it as instructed, right? By the physical therapy program. And it's not their fault, like they probably get a lot of just chronic complainers in there that just, what do they call that? What's that word they have for it?
Oh, yeah. Katie's
I'm
kind
a little
of,
spaced, psychosomatic or something, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
felt kind of dumb, and like, man, even my buddies at the time, they thought I was just complaining or like wussing out, like every time I didn't want to do fun stuff with them, like, hey, let's go in the mountains and do all this tough guy stuff. I'm like, I am not going into the mountains. They get mad at me. They're so mad at me. They thought I was making up You're making up excuses. You're just like, you need to just like learn. And then like other things too, like, man, like the wrong chair, even. You know what I mean? And like the bathroom, I don't want to get too personal, but I had very specific specifications to where it's not like a bad situation. And guys looked at me funny, like, well, what's your problem? So I've had a lot of people get angry with me for the last few years because I'm not paying enough attention to all their fun stuff. And I don't want to, and I had this thing like, man, I don't feel right. I want to be around the kids and wife. I've had that for a few years, and I just want time with them. And so I had to kind of taper off some relationships over the years because, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't feel right. I like my days of running around and all that stuff. It's very difficult for me to do. So I have to go to the doctor, and they got to evaluate what the verdict is on that deal. Which I don't know if for anyone who's ever been through cancer before, which I have, that part normally is the horrific, terrifying part. Waiting for the hammer to come down on the declared what your sentence is. You know what I mean? Like, what's your judgment? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part, is the whole like not knowing and exactly, what the deal. And they won't know, I don't think, until they cut that thing out of there.
Oof.
And based on the location and based on the procedure they explained last time, if the stuff would go to where it's at now, I'm not excited about that deal a lot. So, anywho, I have to doctor again. And so I'm going to be hitting oncology. And man, I hope that it's just something like scar tissue. I have no idea. But I do know that to get that thing out of there, just alone, if it's like best case scenario, I'm going to have to, a good thing I practice how to ignore pain, right? So that's an update that like, I'll be honest, man, like, we talked on the podcast. Is so weird of timing. And I felt weird when we did the podcast. The timing of it was weird because I talked about a lot of stuff that I would never talk about on a YouTube venue, family stuff, my personal story. But for whatever reason, I felt like it was important to just like say the stuff, right, that we talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And one of the messages was like, hey, we're not allowed to fear anything. Yah's in total control, which he absolutely is. He made every molecule. It's built out of his words. We're commanded not to fear anything. The hard part this time through, bro, is like kids. You know, Mrs. Rex is tough. She's a tough chick. And that would have been bad enough the first time through. And that was a heavy deal. But like, we just had a brand new baby boy. He's 2 months old, right?
Wow.
My 2-year-old, man, he is fun and he loves Papa so much. My 7-year-old, I have a very blessed relationship with my boys. They love me so much. I know that this is going to be hard for them, whatever happens, because I'm not going to be able to play. And I was already limited because of all this stuff, you know. So that's hard because now I know. Sorry, dude, give me a second.
It's okay. Take your time.
I know Yah's going to take care of him. And he sent already miracles in weird forms before as this deal was happening to let me know that I don't need to worry about my family in terms of, you know, dad's job to protect, provide, and love, right? Well, that's kind of hard to do if you're not there. So then that's like a giant, like that's what my job is as dad. The idea that I'm not there, or if I'm hurt so bad from, even if it's just the lightest one, right? Even if it's just like a big scar tissue mass. I've had injuries in my back and stuff, so it could be anything, man. But like, I know that's gonna slow me down even more past all the other train wrecks of the health stuff, right? And it's hard to worry about. I mean, we just moved out into this little farmstead. Mama, you know, we've been living so thrifty. We paid off all our debts, right? And, but you know, it's very tiny house. We just started to build it. Like, the timing is not perfect, Luke. And it's like if it was on my schedule, I would have a different timing for that stuff to happen, right? Like, okay, hold on a minute. I got to get patched up. And we just started a building project, you know, for so that the kids can have room and mama can have a real house. Cause it's like, we're blessed to have a house. It's like a little cabin, you know, but like, it'd be nice not to have the bedroom in the living room. You know what I mean? Anyways,
Yeah.
like, the timing is set up to absolutely terrify a guy in that regard, because I took out a small loan so we could have stuff done, you know, so that, you know, maybe I would, you know, the kids can live in it while they're still kids, you know, and that'd be nice. But like, the timing just is not how I would set it up. However, you know, what's that chick that was on here on the one you just posted?
Heather.
Heather from the
Ne-
Needy Setter.
yeah.
I saw that interview right after I got you know, the first big news, and her story was very, very moving. And I'm thinking about my wife ahead of time. I'm a man that likes to not just like wait until the last minute. I have a lot of stuff already kind of squared away to take care of mama as best I can. But anyways, we ended up contacting her and she was super helpful, man. Super helpful. Not, I mean, for me, you know what I mean? And she's like such good advice for my wife. Her name is Jordan. And because she had gone through a real tough deal. And in that talk, like, she mentioned, like, you know, like, you're gonna have to release your pride on asking people for help and trying to do it, you know, because like, that's a hard thing for, especially for like, I preach on that stuff. Like, you gotta be a man and you gotta do all this stuff by yourself, and you know what I mean? So that's hard, but she helped me with a lot of that. Um, so the situation kind of is like not with the timing I would have, Luke.
Yeah.
But here's the cool part that, all right, so this is the cool part. You ready? This is the good news.
Yes.
After that doc told me that, I'm like, oh man, awesome. I'm like, and I put up my finger. I'm like, okay, I said a naughty word, which I probably shouldn't have. Queen Victoria would be rolling in her grave if she heard the word I said when he told me the thing. When he told me the size, I dropped the F bomb. But just not yelling, you know. Like, oh, that's great. I'm like, hey, doc, I need to go for a minute to the bathroom. Just give me 1 minute, because I was already dizzy from their stupid painkillers. And so I went in there and like it was like a good 30 seconds of like total shock adrenaline dose, right? Just like, whoa. And I'm thinking of the babies. At that moment, Luke, all all the stupid stuff that creeps in that guys worry about, the guys care about, dissolved, like vaporized into nothing. Like, oh man, I need to look cool. Or, oh man, like I need to prove to my buddies that I'm tough. Or like, oh wow, my reputation or my legacy, all that stuff, whatever, the property or the bills, the money. You know what I mean? All of it totally dissolved. Now, I mean, taking care of the kids is still an actual legitimate concern, but like, people were like, you realize how much dumb stuff is like keeps you awake at night. Like, oh, so and so said this. I can't believe it. It's just terrible. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Like, oh, what a travesty, Or I didn't get to watch the cartoon I wanted to watch today, or whatever. All this stuff, and it was like total absolute focus on, okay, I have huge treasure right in front of me right now. I'm the richest man in the world. I got these boys. I'm alive right now. And I know, dude, their stock value, like I got a new baby boy, right? And I got like my little 2-year-old who is funny. He's funny he's just hitting that funny age. My 7-year-old, they were at like, I don't know, $1 million an ounce on the US stock exchange in my brain, right? I said that stuff. I'm like, wow, I just became really rich because it's like a trillion, billion, zillion dollars an ounce now. And all the other stuff that I was like, oh no, like this project, like I need to be I need to get this project, like all this stuff, and all the other stuff that guys are worried about that they try to like, get you to worry about, or like all the drama, all that stuff, dude, is just so dumb. Like it's really dumb, and I have some good friends. I love them so much. They're newly married, and we're talking about this, and every new couple goes through the stuff where you're trying to learn each other, right? And old ones too. Me and Mrs. Rex have been together for 24 years. And you have those things like, oh man, like our relationship, like, there could be a little better here or there. Dude, like this stuff that we worry about or the stuff we get offended at is so dumb. It's a travesty that we're distracted from the blessings we have. Like, and you'll never know it until you're on that volcano's edge. And so we talked about tribulation. Remember how we asked about that? Hey, Rex, what do you think's coming around the corner? Very tough, horrible times, remember?
Yeah.
And the blessing. Well, now I get to demonstrate that. And so I'll do that right now. It is a blessing. I'm blessed to know how important my wife and my kids are. And I'm blessed to know who my real friends are. And I'm blessed to know, just have perspective again, even more than I did the first time. It's different with kids. It's way different.
Yeah.
So it is actually a blessing. As much as I get emotional thinking about my boys and what they're going to have to deal with, Papa being really sick for a while, or just out of the game for a bit, or permanently, I don't know, man. I mean, I always plan for a worst case scenario, hope for the best, right? And Yah can heal anything like that if he wants. But I kind of like the blessings of tribulation a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm a sucker or a glutton for punishment, but like, I need to learn something here. And maybe other people can be blessed from this if I come past my stupid pride and just talk openly about how stuff is on. Okay? So, like, if you guys are worried about your little politics between your church groups or whatever your fight, like who's right on whatever doctrine, or like who's got the leverage and whatever. You see so much stuff. Like our human like complaints are so dumb, Luke.
Yeah.
Like we just need to like actually embrace the treasure in heaven. What's important is like loving people and helping people, being constructive, you know, and trying to make someone smile. That's the that's the goal right there. So that's what I've found out since last time we visited, right before you were going to post this deal. And I thought maybe we could talk about that so folks could kind of know what's going on, and maybe you could share the word there on that lesson, because it puts a beautiful bookend on our conversation for this to happen, Luke. It is, isn't it? Like from A to Z, like, okay. And then when you're actually like faced with it, here's what you got to do. Right. So I don't know if that's fun to talk about or not.
Yeah, I think this will be a wake up call to a lot of people. And
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, man. You never know how much time you got. You have no idea how much time you got. You have to not be dumb, and you have to focus on what's important right in front of your face. Boats. I need a new truck. That's so silly. Like, what are you doing? Like, do not worry. God will give you what. Oh, dude, I forgot to share this stuff. Think this. Can I share something?
yeah,
Sorry, man. I'm
no,
excited. It's important. You know, in the Bible, we're commanded to give back in the old days when there was a temple, right? A Thanksgiving offering anytime something awesome would happen. And then made you share that meal that was impossible of a size for you to eat by yourself with everyone. And you typically even invite in the neighbors and the bums even to get the meal eaten, because that was the rule. And the natural question is like, well, geez, like, what happened? You know, like, it's a Thanksgiving offering. Tell us. And then you get to share the praise of Yah's miracle, right? Because we're commanded to share the good stuff. You can't hide it if he does cool stuff, right? So,
yeah,
like right before our interview, Mrs. Rex got a bill in the mail from the hospital from the baby. My insurance kind of sucks, Luke. Like, because I don't have like, no, it's like the cheap guy insurance, because I'm like sole breadwinner, sole proprietor, you know, not high income kind of guy, right? And like high deductible, all that. But like, anyways, it was expensive. It was a lot of money to have a baby. And Mama does her best, and we preach in our house Shema every night and every morning, which is to just like simmer down. Yah's in charge of every molecule. He's our God. He's unified in all power. It's silly to worry about anything. So she had just kind of not even mentioned this bill to me, because she handles the finances typically. And she got a birthday card from her mother, and she usually sends like, you know, a little gift or whatever, like, oh, go out on a date or whatever. And it was a pre-inheritance, which wasn't a huge amount of money, but it was the exact amount to cover that cost. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sitting in the car. We're getting ready to go to town because she needs to put that check in the bank. And she didn't even look at it when she read the note. She just figured it was like $50 or whatever, right? And it was like 5,000, right, to cover the bill, which for us, that's a lot of money. Like 5,000 is a lot of money. And I look in the rearview mirror, and she's sobbing, looking at a letter, like uncontrollably. And I'm like, what's the deal? What happened? Somebody died? Like, what's going on here? So I got nervous, and she couldn't even talk. She's like, she's thinking, like, she prayed literally when she opened that letter. Like, I don't know how we're going to cover this. We're trying to finish this house. We just had this baby. Stuff is tight. People are tight now, right? It's just a bad economy, right? And so Yah demonstrated, don't worry about it. Manna from heaven, bro. You're in a desert. No, there's no food. There's no water. Yeah, don't worry about it. That was right before our talk. Now dig this one. Okay. the day I'm in the emergency, I didn't sleep that night. I'm in the emergency room. Like, then I'm drugged up pretty good. And I had appointments after that to talk to my primary care so they can adjust my normal daily meds. They adjusted a few things there, right? They're like, okay, jeepers, if that's going on, we better not take this and that other one then, you know? And so I'm like, oh, this is going to be kind of expensive, I bet, this thing. So I'm thinking of like my family in a cardboard box with angels protecting it. You know what I mean? You know, in a van down by the river, my little boy like shivering in the, but with
Oh my,
angels like protecting him, like those memes or whatever, you know? That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking about basically, right? And I have this bro who he does a training class with us on Patreon, and he's a farmer, real humble dude, really cool. And he felt compelled very strongly, like a week or something before that, like, Rex, I need to send you this thing. I need to send you like money for helping you, for all the help you've given me, you know, because we do our training stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't need it. Don't send it. Like, you should keep it. You got kids. Like, no, no, no. I need to send this to you. And I'm like arguing with him. I'm like, dude, do not send. You have your boys. Give it to charity. I don't know. Like, I don't need it. You're not commanded to give it to me. This is not a tithe, actually. You cannot, I'm not a Levite priest. You can't give me a tithe. He's like, I know you're not a Levite, and I know this is not a tithe, but I want to give it to you anyways. And I'm like, okay, man, like, if you got to do it, I'm not going to prevent you. And I do appreciate it because, you know, there is stress with the building project after all. I'm like, okay, man, yeah. And so the day I walked out of the clinic, he had sent a message, or I got notification from, we got a mailbox thing, right? That he had sent his gift in. And it was enough to get my attention, man. I'm like, what? Like, it was enough to where I'm like, to communicate to me. And I mean, it's not enough to cover the what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But it was enough to like, oh, Yah's reminding us clearly again, he will make sure my family's okay. And I need to calm down and not worry about that. He's making sure that my Elohim does not become my fear of the situation. Yah knows I'm weak right now and I'm tired. I haven't slept good, man, because of the pain. It's just terrible pain, right? So chronic, like sleep deprivation and all the effects with that. And guy, you know, funny because like a lot of guys that get mad at me, Rex, you're not on your game. Like, I don't approve of this. I'm like, dude, like, I'm tired. You know, I know I'm not firing on all 8 cylinders, and I apologize, but like, I ain't Superman, you know. But anyways, like, that deal came in exactly when I walked out of the front doors of the doctor and sat in the car. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I was like, oh wow, I have a family of brothers and sisters that actually care. And if my wife is surrounded in a decent culture of decent people who are there to support you and love you, I'm way less worried. And oh, this is what Heather and I were talking about. I don't know if this is going to add too much length to the thing. Am I okay to go on?
We can go as long as you want.
Okay. If you need to make a second one, just make a second one. But this is too important. Heather mentioned something that really resonated when we were talking with her on the phone that had to do with grief becoming an idol, or being like, oh man, I'm a victim. I'm a poor victim, Rex. I didn't even do anything. I just was sick multiple times. Woe is me, right? It'd be fun to be a victim and have all this grief and like, oh, I had to go through so much. It was horrible. You know what I mean? You know, and it'd be like a fun new hobby, right? And I could maximize it for maximum clicks and views and get the sympathy thing and all that, right? And it was like, you know, like, no, that can't be your idol. And I thought, whoa, because dig this. I think that the whole test, and she was talking about tests, how they're blessings, right? And I'm like, when bad stuff happens, Luke, next time something bad will eventually happen, I'm sure that you'll encounter. Like, you've been on Earth before. You understand the concept, right? You've been there. But dude, something comes, it's like, oh no, the boogeyman pops out of the bushes, right? You know what that actually is, dude? This is going to be funny.
What? What?
It's trying to grab it's trying to get a chokehold on you and make you look at it. Enemy is allowed to test us, which he is. And sometimes some kids are allowed to be tested more than others. Sometimes y'all has mercy and says, no, not right now for this guy, right? That thing that it is will grab you by the neck and try to make you look at it. Pay attention to me. Fear me. I'm here to ruin your day. You must fear me. Now you need to run in circles to try to fight me. Yeah, that's it. Chase me around. Right? And then it leads you through a labyrinth of stuff that you don't like, when in fact, the solution is to look straight at dad. When bad stuff happens, you have to lock on target and look at dad. That's what when you hang the law on your door, the mezuzah, right? Like we do that.
Yeah.
It makes you stay focused that no. Listen, Israel. Listen. Like, be quiet and listen for a second here deeply. I want you to understand what I'm going to tell you. You guys are supposed to see me. That's what Israel means. Israel, right? Wrestling to see those that see God, those wrestling to comprehend him. If you go into the thing, you guys need to focus on trying to see me. Next word, Elohenu. I am the all-powerful God, which is yours. I am specifically your God, and I'm all-powerful. It says his name, Yod He Vav He. I transcend all space, time, matter. I am he who was, is, and will be. And then, Yahovah or Yahuwah or Yahweh, however you want to pronounce that deal, there's different pronunciations, is in the English one. On the Hebrew, echad, right? Which means totally in control of all powers. So when bad, scary monsters pop out of the bushes in the form of, oh no, the tax man, no, my finances, oh no, a financial collapse, oh no, a nuclear bomb just hit the city next to me. No, I'm like got some horrific, scary medical problem, right? That thing is trying to compete for your attention and respect. Here, Israel, look at dad. Look at me, I'm your dad. Stop worrying. I control everything. I'll take care of all your stuff. If you just try to walk after me, Abraham, just walk and be perfect, which means to be completed instruction, to put your whole heart into it. That's what that means. And you'll be tamim, right? Tamim is like tav, mayim, completely sealed in his waters, which is his word. Like understand, like, dude, I got this. So like just a covenant, like, if we look at dad, he says, I'll make sure you're fine. Your kids are going to be fed if you just follow me. So, Luke, as horrifically terrifying as it is to dive off the cliff into the unknown starting tomorrow, hopefully good news, that'd be outstanding. But bad news is also outstanding in a different way. That's the light bulb frequency, whatever light he wants me to glow, he'll choose to illuminate whatever. I don't know. I'm just reflecting his thing, right? You are too. we have to remember that he's the one that's in charge of stuff, and he's going to take care. I'm not worried about my family anymore. Now, of course, we do everything we can. I mean, like I've pre-planned for this. We have, all the stuff that a guy would do, like a living revocable trust or whatever. Like the farm is mostly secure in that, although we got a little bit of a loan right now for the addition that's would normally be stressful, But I know through what he's proven immediately before the test came, he gave me the answer ahead of time. And then right after it happened, the timing, dude, was like crazy. He's like, don't worry about it. I got that stuff covered. Because he knows me. He knows that I'm weak in that area. I stress about that. I hate being at the mercy of like the bank or any of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that will be okay, right? And so I got like people that are gonna like, even if like, for the kids and all this stuff, like it's gonna be fun. And I got so much stuff on the computer, Luke. My boys, it's gonna be like that Superman movie, like where Jor-El like puts the Superman baby into the little pod and sends him from Krypton before Dad has to explode, right? On Krypton. He's
Mhm.
got all these little things that talk, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was his dad's, video or whatever. So, dude, I already got like, I don't know, tens of thousands of hours probably on that thing, talking about like how to like, hey, like, here's how to select the perfect wife. And I did them for my boys. I actually mentioned it in the comments, I'm like, this is to my sons because I don't know about you guys, but I'm talking to my boys right now. Like, here's how to pick a godly woman. Here's what to watch out for. Here's how to make sure you understand your commitment as a man. Like, dude, I already did all that stuff. Weird, huh?
It's
Like
great.
time machine kind of deal, man. He has the power over time itself. He knew this was going to happen. He made sure I had that totally covered ahead of time as a contingency. Now, I would love to be here to like sit next to him and, you know, I would love to have my first beer with my son or whatever, like when he's 21 or all that stuff that dads want to do. Like, gosh darn it, buddy. Like, it's sad, but it's actually like joyful at the same time because I know the opposites, man.
Yeah.
And he's going to make sure they're covered. You know what I mean? So that was the other thing I had to share. Sorry to interrupt, Luke.
No, that's okay. I just was agreeing with you.
Yeah, all right. Yep.
And so, pragmatically, is there a way people can also help in this situation now?
So after talking with Heather and considering the reality of the situation, if I am not here or if I am not able, even if I am here, like if I can't, my income is what I produce day by day. It varies every month. Like I'm not on a salary. It's all based on the whatever subscription for Patreon, right? And then my sales for my other projects. I do reviews and stuff like that, right? Well, I can only push that envelope so hard without being completely unreasonably annoying or lying, which I can't do that. Like this laser scope is so awesome. You need 50 of them. I can't do that. That's like that'd be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, nah, don't need, you don't even really need one. So like on a normal day, when I'm taking care of the family for their material provisions, well, if I'm out of the picture, I have to actually like set down my stupid ego and I like, man, like over the years, this one is one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. I've always like turned like there's been a lot of people over the years before trying to help out with stuff, and I'm like, dude, I'm good. I'm all covered now. I'm good. Like totally covered. Send it over. Like there's other outfits that would need it. Like what do you call it? Like I've sent like other guys over towards Refuge Medical or what's the one? Caleb House. Some of those
Yeah.
outfits, right? There's lots of
Hmm.
good outfits. Or like send it to your preacher. Like make a donation to some. You know what I mean? Because that but like okay, my kids actually, if there was anything that was ever helpful that I've ever done for anybody out there. If you can share this communication with somebody or help in any way so that my kids and my wife do not have to worry about that. And so that I also don't have to be a slave to the pocketbook while I'm in this thing. Because I would love the opportunity to sit down and get to know my boys even better. Like I just want to go to the zoo with my boys. That's it. I don't want to have to like work 100-fold more than I did before in my, so my wife set up a GoFundMe thing. Okay. And, I got what it covers because I don't like not being clear on that. She set up a GoFundMe page. My name is Matthew. My friends know me as Rex. Okay. And it's going to protect, it goes to the wife. She manages it. She did an account just for that under her name. It's going to protect the farmstead. So my boys don't have to lose this place if I incur $1 billion trillion of debt from stupid medical bills. Okay. So I don't want to see them lose this place. It's a little place. It's a humble place. I own it. It's in our trust, but we have a little bit of a lien on that little addition loan, small loan. I want to make sure they're not in a position where they have to sell it to make food payments, or if they need, like my boys are going to have stuff that happens. So it's for protecting their dwelling, because I'm commanded to provide for them literally shelter as part of the commandment. Exodus chapter 21, it lists it, right? But also food, clothing. The love part, I've kind of got that covered ahead of time. They know that Papa loves them. So the fund would go towards that. It'd be for ordinary household expenses. It'd be for replacing what's going to be in my lost income, undoubtedly. I know it's going to hurt. I'm not going to be like my 50% of my income is going out and doing field testing for stuff I can't. Dude, if I'm in a wheelchair for a while, because they cut this thing out of my, dug through my guts or whatever to get at the, thing. Like, I know the process for the surgery from last time is going to hurt. Okay. So if I'm out of the game, it'll cover for their stuff. And then if there's anything left over, medical bills are going to be expensive. And then there's all the unaccounted for stuff that I know from last time. And then just general stability for the family. I'm not going to spend I don't need the money. They do though. So I'm not going to be stupid and prideful. And if you guys ever wanted to help, I would love to see you help my wife and family. And so I don't know if you can, if I can share the thing on here somehow or whatever. Like it's on her Facebook, I guess. She just made it like an hour ago.
Okay.
Trying to get it. That's what we did this morning. So trying to get it lined up because I'm going to be very busy starting tomorrow.
We'll put it in the description. We'll make sure the link works. We'll make sure it's all linked up.
Yeah. But I mean, I know that Yah will provide, even if that deal is a total flop or whatever. I'm not worried about how he's going to do it. And sometimes his currency comes in other forms, So prayers, absolutely. I just know that as a dad, I'm responsible for the material provision. So I'm not going to hold that one back. If you guys can help me to help them or whatever, like that is the way that you could do it. If you feel led to do it, okay? Like if you're not felt led to do it, then don't do it. But like that would help a lot. So
thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for sharing your experience with us. I think that in itself will be helpful. But I know that all the wisdom you've shared over the years, and I'm sure that people, if they want to hear any of those messages you gave to your boys too, I mean, those are on Patreon, aren't they? They can also join that, right?
thinking about how to set that up. Like if I was to check out for some reason, like, which could happen at some point. Actually, did you know, Luke? Guaranteed at some point everyone checks out.
Yep.
None of us are going to make it out of this one alive, Luke. Not you and not me. Nobody. Like, that'd be a funny t-shirt, right? Like, nobody makes it out of this one alive. Yeah, no kidding, right? Oh, guaranteed death and taxes is going to happen, right? But no, I was thinking about like with the Patreon, um, that stuff is timeless. So if you want to do that too, that's great, to like do that. But yeah, I'm probably going to have one of my bros that I can trust, because I got a lot of other stuff that I didn't post yet, right? That I can release on there. And then those lessons are like the thousands of year old lessons. It's not like the news. So they're not like expired already. Like the stuff that I posted years ago is like 100% valid right now. We're talking about ethical principles, Bible stuff, family stuff, right? So there's a lot of stuff on there that would be available on Patreon too. And that's a way to support too. But yeah, I know that one I'm subject to complete income tax laws on that one. I mean, both of them, right? Like you have to go through all the rules, and I have perfectly straight shoelaces on all that stuff, right? But I do think that like I don't know how it works. I'm going to ask my CPA, but to my understanding, if it's the GoFundMe deal, if it's a gift, I think it's a different category, right? So Uncle Sam, I don't think gets his paws on it as much. If
That's
it's
great.
So the GoFundMe, I think would it'd be a more bang for the buck for the family part, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you need instruction and you can't find anyone else that speaks your language, I'm just one of many guys that's saying the same thing. I just have my language. Some people understand it, some people don't. That's fine. But yeah, it's fun over there too. We have fun. So what a way to do a Patreon advertisement, huh, Luke? Oh boy. All right. First we need a horrific situation.
Well, I just appreciate you, Rex. I appreciate you being so honest and like vulnerable about what's going on right now, especially in just post our interview. So I'm glad that we're able to add this addendum on there.
I'm extremely vulnerable. Absolutely, but not really. Yah's going to take care of me. So, but
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry. Yeah. The whole situation is just like a cartoon, though. It's like, come on. Like, and oh, dude, sometime we should talk about all the funny stuff that he piles onto your test. Because, like, it's a cartoon, Luke, right? Like, here I am. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to take care of these boys and mom. And I'm planning, like, all right, do I do some kind of thing like we talked about? And then the enemy's like, okay, that didn't work. He's not scared of that situation. How about this one? Let's hit him where it really hurts. And then they flank you from this other direction, like out of the blue, like crazy stuff out of a science fiction movie. Like, what? Like, why would this cartoon situation happen from this angle? And just like stacking it on. Like, no, you will be scared of something. Like, I mean, I don't need it to get worse. So I should pretend to be scared? Then it will stop. No. Well, here's the solution for that, Luke. I'm not done preaching yet. I'm almost done. Wait. If any time the enemy is attacking you with horrific, terrible things, right? Like, I'm going to like torture your conscience or whatever, right? If every time bad stuff happens, you run straight to dad immediately as your standard operating procedure. Like people ask me like, oh man, I'm having a scary spiritual experience, or like I'm being tormented by demons or whatever. That's above my pay grade, dude. I don't know how that works, but I do know if there was a demon or a test or whatever, if the enemy is doing his stuff, and every time the bad stuff comes and he's like, let's attack a Luke from this angle. This will really get this will scare him. This will get him upset. This will get him distracted. If every time this stuff happens, Luke, you immediately just stop. Okay, I'm going straight over to Papa. And then you run straight into prayer and you're like, all right, I need to get extremely close to you. I'm climbing on your lap right now and I'm sitting on your lap looking outwards. Then the enemy's like, well, we can't go over there because he's sitting on Dad's lap now. What do? He just totally ran totally inside the safe boundary to Dad. Like they're just going to kick rocks, standing out there waiting for a while, then they're going to leave. Right? So that's how you get rid of the test too, is just like keep getting the answer to go straight to Papa anytime. So yeah, but I could tell you funny stories. It actually would like do the enemy justice though with all his funny tactics. I don't want to give him any glory, but just know that it'll pile on, Luke. You know what I mean? Like people will get silly on you, all kinds of stuff will happen. Like it's just how it is, you know.
But well, then we really want people to pray as well, like immediately.
Yeah, immediately. For this situation. Yes, yeah. And anytime you're tested, or anybody listening to this, like you just run straight to Dad immediately. That's the only answer. Anyways, that's the long-term and short-term answer. And whatever spiritual forces are just going to learn that, well, every time we poke this guy, he actually goes in the direction we're trying to make him not go. So let's go on to an easier target. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's helpful, man. But yeah, if you wish me luck so that I'm not biting my fingernails off too bad tomorrow when I have to, they're going to make me lay on this thing and I don't want to lay on this hard table. It's going to hurt a lot to lay on this hard flat table, you know, and not move for like a long time. So just pray that I handle it like a man and continue to, you know, to do what's right, that I can handle this test. Okay. That would be a good prayer. And then my little boys are okay. I haven't hid nothing from them. They're within earshot of everything I've said so far. They think I know something. I think they know something's up, but I know that eventually, like it could potentially be really hard on them. Whatever goes down, I don't know. So pray for them. Okay. All right. That's the biggest thing.
I will, and I know people watching this will, Rex. Thank you. Would you like to add anything else at all?
Could talk for a billion years, but I don't know. I mean, that just trust Papa, man. And thank you so much for your patience and your help and for doing this project with everybody. I know it's been a blessing to me just to, you know, like have help from the community, like with Heather and stuff. Like if you guys don't know who that is, you should go check her out. She was very helpful if you're going through a rough time, you know, like so many good people that come on the show, man. Like a lot of good, I've seen brothers on here and stuff. And, you know, I don't mesh with everybody on a personal level, but I do appreciate everyone who's trying to do what they're trying to do anywhere in this effort. Is hard. Life is hard. And so anybody who's doing this stuff, like I appreciate all those guys. Right.
Yeah.
So I know that your main effort too is trying to get everyone to be cool with each other. Right. And create the dialogue to kind of like, hey guys, like, should we have a conversation about, you know what I mean? That's the right direction, man. So keep it up, buddy.
Thank you, sir. I will do it as long as y'all allows me.
And of course, share this. If you think you know someone else who can be helpful, then just share it with them or whatever on any level. Share the what do you call it? If you can't support us in that way because it's tight, I understand. Just share the thing then. The link below for the wife's GoFundMe page she set up, that'd be helpful. So just share the link. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for having me on again at this late minute right before you're going to post it. So
thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll be praying for you.
You too. Rock and roll, cowboy.
Have you ever wanted to have a Torah observant hero in the shows that you watch? Is that a crazy idea? I don't know, but we're making it at The Life Network. Go to watchthelife.com and find entertainment that you don't have to vet before you show it to your kids. You don't have to cover their eyes before you Look at the thumbnails on the site. We're making a bunch of different shows there. Start watching for free and join us.